We're talking about classic jokes back here, just things you grew up saying that were really terrible and stupid. Anyone ever say to you, "Hey Dan, your epidermis is showing"? It's your skin,
idiot.
Because it sounds naughty.
What's the capital of Thailand? Bangkok.
Good jokes.
Then I hit you right in the dick.
The jokes that form you. 786-456.
We're not doing that.
No.
Speaking of which, the jokes that form you, you allegedly own a highlight team. I saw it on ESPN2, shockingly. This
I think it's 3, but either way.
No,
Trey.
I saw it on I saw
you
it.
saw it on the Deuce during the Ocho weekend, but going forward it's going to be on the Trey.
I saw it on ESPN2 last week.
The Deuce.
I was shocked.
During the Ocho weekend.
I got it. I understand. It did keep flashing the graphics of ESPN Ocho while showing highlight. But then what I saw, and I've got to think this is a source of contention, is video of Mike Ryan collecting a trophy on the fronton floor because the real owner of the highlight team, Chris Cote, decided to go on a cruise during the championship week, which is not something I've seen a lot of owners do throughout the history of sports, where they
It's
just
a power move, you could say.
Yeah.
Look, you're trying to divide us. It's not going to happen.
Not gonna
A
let it
united
happen.
front.
Typical media.
Mm-hmm.
Typical lamestream media trying to
find your story.
Force a wedge where there is none. Chris and I have been in lockstep pretty much the entire time. Any rumors of there being a schism is completely fabricated by the media.
I seem to remember on the Monday after the Cesta Cyclones won the championship, Mike claiming ownership of the team.
You do things. You do things to get people talking.
Yeah.
You know,
it was.
We played you.
It was a great driver for the sport. Now we're on ESPN Trey.
Look where it got us.
Chris, I don't remember you coming into the studio thrilled at how much camera time Mike Ryan got as the new owner. You guys are putting on a good public face right now.
Same tricks.
Look,
you've got nothing.
Toners.
Media man.
That's what we are. 2 owners.
Yes, 2 owners. Better than 1. Yep. And guess what? The Cesta Cyclones, we are proud to announce, are running that shit back.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Emotional weekend. We had a draft. We finalized our squad. Did we have to make some difficult decisions? Maybe. But that's what you do when you have one goal, championship.
So why maybe? Why can't we just talk about it?
All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it because our partnership got tested a little bit over the draft weekend because I thought we were team run it back. Yeah. And we brought back 4 of our very best players. Might have exploited a loophole in order to get the 4th one back.
When you have a Manny and Manu, you don't make all the decisions. You bring them in. It's like having LeBron makes decisions to help out the Lakers. We have a Manny and a Manu,
and it's worked out really well.
So I'm not going to go in there and say, "Hey, we're bringing back Jedin. We're bringing back Joseph. That's it. That's the final say." I may have suggested it. And when my team tells me, hey, we might have to go a different lane here and pick up Williams.
Did your players recognize you? Because they were celebrating with their other
They might have said, where's Mike? But then I was like, hey, sorry about that cruise. I'm back. And then we hugged, and me and Manu are good as new.
In a team bonding experience, I went on a cruise this weekend to make sure that there was zero beef.
Did I badmouth Mike maybe a little to them? Like, look, this guy takes a cruise during draft week, huh? I didn't do that. I did it tongue-in-cheek. It was all fun.
Because that would be poor form.
Yeah, form.
Whittingham, we were supposed to go out to the Dolphins last week, and that got canceled when they got an unprecedented tampering penalty. Welcome to
the sounds that you're hearing is Stugotz slamming his phone in water bottle.
Stugotz is arriving.
Hello.
He sounds like the weekend.
I sound great.
Yeah. So we didn't draft. Just to be clear, I want to close this loop. We did not draft Joseph.
No, we brought back Jedin. Super Bowl champion, University of Miami guy. Love his energy. Love his growth as a highlight because he just picked up the sport. He's growing. The team consensus, we got to bring back Jedin. Joseph's available for us with the 6th pick. But Williams is there. So it becomes a thing where you have 3 minutes to pick. It's like Joseph is like, we love Joseph. We could run it back with the same team. But Williams is here. Williams actually cousins with Jedin. So that's a little nepotism there.
That's,
but that I swear to you, that was not like
we're
that
against
was
nepotism.
I don't
generally.
think that was
Big anti-
nepotism. I don't think that is.
Well, no, we ended up taking Williams.
Well, but I still don't think cousins makes it nepotism.
Well, but if you have
family.
if you have two choices, one of which you're running it back with the same team, and the other one is like a cousin of a player you already drafted, you can make the argument.
On the surface,
I'm with you, Dan. Nepotism, man, that guy worked for that spot.
I thought nepotism was just either father to son or father to daughter.
It could be relatives or friends, according to Wikipedia.
There you go. I always knew you knew what you were talking about when it came to nepotism.
But so we went with Williams, Dan.
Yeah, but the problem is he looked Joseph dead in the eye and said that he was drafting him.
That was the issue. Before the draft, there was just a lot of like adapts, like, what's up, man? Good to see you.
All the players were there.
And this is so real to these guys. Like, we like to have fun and joke. This was serious to them. And Joseph comes up before the draft, and I just hit him. I think I hit him with like, we're hoping for it. Like, I hit him with something vague that I'm just like, all right, hopefully he gets taken.
That doesn't sound like how that went down. I think Joseph might be feeling lied to.
No, I know. But it's my first draft as an owner.
What do you mean, no? I know.
In hindsight, I expected us. I was going in thinking, hey, we're probably, if he's there, we'll take him. And then we got to the spot and we could have taken Joseph.
Joseph and I learned a tough lesson over the weekend. It's not show friends, it's show business.
Yeah. And I feel bad, dude. I legitimately afterwards felt remorse. I almost wanted to go back up to him and like blame it on the players. And
but
be like,
then we started putting together our lineups and we saw what we look like with Williams now. And ESPN Trey is not going to know what hit it, man. And this week is a big week for the Cesta Cyclones because we have a major Cyclone announcement coming up. I'm so excited about it. I can't even let a little of it squeak out right there. But the stars are coming out to support the franchise in Battle Court.
That was an interesting part of the night. I won't say it because we don't want to give away the surprise, but they went around. I'll just say there was like every team has a charitable aspect now. And they went around and all the other teams have hospitals association. I'm not going to say what our association is, but it didn't land as well as children's hospitals.
It's NIL.
There was like, this team is representing this children's hospital. This one is this team. And then it's like, and the LeBatard is doing something with NIL. They'll get back to us.
Go Canes.
Mike is just funneling money to the University of Miami now
through
gambling.
Don't tell me how to run my team, media man.
Through gambling entities. So Whittingham, we were supposed to go out. We'll get to Stugotz's Hall of Fame weekend in a second. It was very exciting.
It's a doozy.
To see him. Stugotz has come in and he doesn't smell like what I imagine the Hall of Fame to smell like, but he smells like the weekend. And remnants of Boselli. Boselli's going to join us here in a little bit. But before we do that, I really do want to know, as Tyreek Hill says Xavier Howard locked him up in practice and he's tired of seeing Xavier Howard and he wants to see players from other teams. And then I see a video of Tyreek Hill catching a ball deep downfield, but a little bit out of bounds. Is that what we're going to do? Are we just going to sit around waiting for a play that the entire sport is trying to prevent? The entire sport is built, every defense is built to make sure you do not allow anyone to score 80 yards in one play. Make them go 12, 14, 16 yards. Mike Ryan is now showing me a photo of Tyreek Hill's arm.
Looks jacked.
I mean, it looks like a leg. It looks
like Hulk Hogan in the 1980s. That is a massive arm. He is so fast, so quick. But on top of that, he is one of the strongest pound-for-pound players in the NFL.
His arms look like legs. And he caught a pass a little bit out of bounds, 60 yards downfield. And Tua is mad at us that his wedding news got out. Let's get to the sound of Tua being mad at us, because I do think it's quaint trying to keep that private. That should be something just for you. And I feel like when it comes to celebrity, we simply don't allow that anymore. If you're a famous person and you get married, it will not be private.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very special. I don't know who ended up leaking it, but you must have been waiting outside the courthouse for an entire week or something. I mean, for me, I love to keep my life as private as possible. And that's what we tried to do with me, my wife, and my family. But, obviously, in this world, that's not how it is. It's almost kind of disrespectful, if you will, by doing that. But it is what it is. And, can't do anything about it. Yeah. Guys, I have a wife.
Does marriage change your perspective on anything, life?
I mean, no girls for me, I guess, if you will. I mean, you know, if that's the perspective. But yeah, I mean, same focus, you know, same focus. The season, what we got here in training camp.
That was a weird answer.
Super strange answer.
All of it was strange. Love him like a son, though.
It's the most interesting clip of Tua's
I like
career.
this Tua, man. I really do.
Tua has been the most boring quote forever, and that like this, he just threw a lot at
That's
us
him.
right there.
That is him enraged and not understanding what marriage is.
I guess we don't keep that secret in this world. Yeah, this world is Earth. I mean, normal people who aren't star quarterbacks are subject to that news kind of leaking out there. There's government filings out there. Disrespectful. Maybe he was trying to reach for words. I'll give him all the excuses in the book. I mean, you know, he's still learning, still young, still great. You seen those videos that are illegally shot?
What's Greg Cote's excuse for doing that to me?
I mean, that was amongst friends.
Great profit.
Like, I can understand if Andy Slater's out there saying, "Hey, according to this filing from the court, the star quarterback got married." You know, that name is unique to South Florida, so I imagine it
Slaters.
Slaters.
Yeah. Mm.
I mean, you can make an argument for that too. But
it really doesn't take a private detective once that name scrolls across some government paperwork.
Who could this be? we had a Tagovailoa apply for a marriage license.
It does. A government clerk sees that name, and it might not be Hal Habib sitting outside the courthouse for a week.
Yeah. It's not.
That's a perfect name for that.
I don't think this is Inside Edition's crack journalism staff. I think this one was easy to piece together, and they meant no disrespect. It's not a disrespect. Do you think it's disrespectful to just say an announcement? No one gave any opinion. They just said as a news item, "Hey, congrats to Tua. He's now married."
Well, he has identified it as kind of disrespectful, if you will. I think that's rabid for him. Like that is him chewing off the media's face. He has been storming around complaining to his family for days. Can you believe the media did this?
I'm really happy for him. Congrats to you. I'm sorry that I might have circulated that report in a group chat once or twice. That's on me. I meant no disrespect. You've just presented it to me, and as disrespect, I will take that, absorb it, and take the time to work up a true and proper apology to you, Tua.
I do. I guess I feel bad he has to talk about it in a press conference. Like maybe that's a little personal. You want to just not have to talk about your personal life.
Well, he makes it worse by saying it's disrespectful. If he just says, "I'm not talking about that," it goes away. But now you've got...
Yeah. Was he caught off guard? Did he know he was going to get asked about it? Because it seemed like he was caught off guard with his answer about perspective on getting married. That seemed like he had no idea what to say there. Because he's like, "I've been married for a month. What do you want me to say, guy?"
How has your life and perspective changed? Well, I trust the media less. Because he thinks somebody was standing outside the courthouse. That's a bad job, incidentally. I don't mean a poorly job done. I mean a poor job to be standing outside the courthouse waiting for Tagovailoa's name to scroll across.
Is it though?
Government paperwork. It doesn't sound like.
Yeah, but it's how you make your name in this industry is by reporting. You start small. I mean,
I don't
have
think
no idea.
I really don't think someone was on that beat.
Was it Slater?
Pretty sure it was
Who got
Slater.
married today? Who got married today? I don't think anyone is on that beat.
You think it's like
do what you have to do though to make a name, right?
You think whoever reported throws like a Twinkie to someone working at the courthouse? Like, what's the thing? What do you think? How's this work? How's reporting work?
Like Chris said, it is the least interesting news. Like he's married. That's it. He's married. All right.
You could have told me he was married prior to, and I would have had no idea.
Same.
Yeah.
No idea.
No idea whatsoever. The Tua stuff, I say this as someone that adores the young man.
We all love Tua.
We all do. So much.
So much.
With all our hearts, collectively.
Don't say we.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
He's not there yet.
Whittingham
Yeah.
is welcoming Tuanon. Well, Whittingham does not have fear of Tuanon. I'd also like to just ask you guys, is wedding news private? Because I thought it was almost the opposite of that. Like you send out announcements.
You're supposed to be proud of it.
But it's just, if you want to keep it private, I suppose that you're entitled.
It is funny coming from you.
Yeah, you're making Greg Cote's point right now.
Oh, fair enough, but he announced that I was engaged.
And he's a
not
friend
that
of
I
yours.
had gotten married and done the government paperwork that involved like people having my name in marriage certificates. I wanted to be able to tell my family before they read about it in the Miami Herald, which I was not able to do. That is slightly different.
It is slightly different.
And I wasn't yet married. I was just engaged to be married.
I don't know. The more it's aging, the more I'm on Team Greg. But the point that I was trying to make,
Well, the more he's aging, you mean?
before Chris announced that he did not submit anything for the wedding registry. Shame on you, Whitty. Is that I would say an independent person, not someone that is so tied to a fandom such as myself, would say this Tua thing is weird by fan standards. I've never really seen anything like it. It wasn't even like this around Wade. The only thing that I could compare it to was just the national hostility towards the big three and how you or anybody was willing to break a beer bottle over a nightstand to shiv a beat writer from Indiana the second they said something wrong. And that was like the most heightened sports support I've ever seen down here. The Tua thing is the closest thing to that. They are so proud and at times irrational, rabid supporters of Tua. Well, I'm one of them.
Well, you just said they is why I told you to be careful.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that. We are like that, and I've never really seen anything like this surrounding a quarterback, and that dates back even to Dan Marino.
I think what is happening there is that Dolphin fans are craving so much to matter again that he represents every bit of hope. High draft pick, comes in with the pedigree, and we still don't know what he is. And so he's sort of the maximized personification of, I want to hope that this person is what I think he is, and therefore I will get all the information I need to confirm that bias of this is who I think he is. But he's also derived an unusual amount of skepticism in a very short time, given that it's not very fair to try and judge him through injury and offensive line. So there are plenty of people out there, more so than you see with most young quarterbacks. They're not doing it to Burrow or Herbert. They've shown you something. Most young quarterbacks that come out with fanfare are not inconclusive, because you can still argue about what this person is. Usually, one way or the other by now. Oh, this doesn't look like it's going to happen, or this is obviously going to be a good player.
And sometimes it takes a few years. I mean, Burrow went to a Super Bowl, so he answered. There were questions last year headed into his second year because of the injury as to whether or not Joe Burrow would be good, but he went to a Super Bowl. And so that helps. And Herbert was good right away. So there's no questions there. Tua, there's still questions. I understand why.
You do Super Bowl, and we still do this winning stuff with quarterbacks. So I will read to you a stat of the day I saw over the weekend.
Start of the day, it is the start of the day. Start of the day, it is the start of the day. Start of the day, it is the start of the day. Start of the day, it is the start of the day.
It is presented by ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Mark Sanchez has more playoff wins than the combination of Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, and Justin Herbert.
Sanchez. He had 2 runs, AFC Championship game, back-to-back. Not because of him, but
no, and we do still do. If you've done some winning, we will make you better than you are. But I don't think a whole lot of people were questioning Joe Burrow in general last year. But Tua, after a couple of years, you still don't know. Everyone listening to this, I don't know that there's a player in the league. You say you've never seen anything like this in South Florida, a combination of team, sport, position, and a whole bunch of other factors. But give me all the other guys in that sport, fantasy leagues or otherwise, where you ask people, hey, what is he?
Yeah.
And the question is more like, I don't know. The question doesn't have, you can have your firm beliefs, but it's hard to construct an argument on either side. Like, we know what this player is as a pro.
I think that there are arguments to be made for Daniel Jones being in that class, especially because he's been dealing with injuries. And right before he got hurt, he was playing some of his better ball. Prior to everything just unraveling in Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, we were asking that midway through last season. And
you don't
he was
think most
further
people
along.
have given up on Daniel Jones, even though his team was super injured last year as well?
He's had bad coaching. I think people.
I think with Dable coming there, people are expecting big things from Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's certainly a make or break year for him, but I think that
turnovers, man.
I know.
Yeah, a lot, but Josh Allen kind of fixed that part of his game too. Good point there, Tony, in the corner.
He's still very reckless, though. Josh Allen is very reckless.
Yeah, but when he was playing his better ball prior to the injury, he was limiting that somewhat, and he showed promise, a real high ceiling for someone who's super surprisingly athletic. I am not Team Daniel Jones, by the way. I'm just trying to give you an answer to your question of who else is like Tua.
No, that's a good answer. I don't think many people listening to this, though, think to themselves, well, if the Giants just add Stephon Diggs, then Daniel Jones will be great.
But to your point, like,
or Stephon Diggs is OC, which is what they did.
Mm-hmm.
But the Giants fans are not like forming a cult around Daniel Jones. That's the weird part of this. The weird part of this is that there are other young quarterbacks that are in a prove-it stage of their careers, and their fan base are not like willing it into existence. As a matter of fact, it very often goes the opposite direction, which is the Giants fans are ready to move on to whoever the next quarterback is. And that's the thing that's sort of surprising to me, is that Dolphins fans are so, you're right, this is a manifestation of hope. But I have never understood why the manifestation of hope is not having high standards. It's instead trying to convince you that the person who is deeply average in front of you is not deeply average. And that we're going to find some accuracy deep downfield stats. They're going to make you believe that what you're seeing is not what you're seeing.
I think we see all this Tua chatter on Twitter. We don't know it's not happening in the local market in New York, right? Like there could be a contingency of Giants fans that are feeling that.
This is rabid, loud, and defensive.
Yeah,
it's
but
unusual.
We're closer to it. I don't know if this is like. I think this might just be our prism here.
Then as a reformed Baker Mayfield cultist, let me tell you that's probably the closest comparison. And there were plenty of reasons why it went poorly. Coaching certainly one of them. Injury another for Baker Mayfield.
But I also thought Baker Mayfield had a much better and bigger track record than Tua does at the moment. That at the moment, Tua has proven far less than Baker Mayfield did entering those seasons of expectations. And to boot, had that incredible receiving core with him as well. So again, I don't know on what basis, when Tua has been preferred against other quarterbacks multiple times during his time in Miami. Last year was at times Jacoby Brissett. The year before it was Ryan Fitzpatrick. And again, it might have just been a coach that didn't believe in him. But multiple times, his head coach and offensive coordinator preferred other quarterbacks, and he is still the source of this great belief. Now, it can still happen, but I don't know what in 2 years gives the fan base such a rabid expectation where I'm seeing every time he throws a deep pass in my social media feed.
This is what I would say to you, though, because it is hard to construct a winning argument on Tua will be great. But it has everything to do with what's been assembled around him to now inflate the hope, because he's not allowed any excuses anymore. It can't be about injuries or offensive lines, and they will be dismissed as excuses, even though I think they're explanations. I don't think they're excuses, but this is the world that he works in.
By all accounts, though, this training camp has given you reason to be even more excited if you were pro Tua, or even if you're one of those like Whitty that is a bit more skeptical. He's taken fewer sacks. He has displayed quantifiably a bigger arm, more accuracy on deep passes, more ability to actually go deep. There's a lot of exciting news coming out of the beat reporters that are covering this team right now surrounding the quarterback, and he's making a lot of people believers with his performance.
But it's training camp, Mike. Like,
that matters, though. Training camp does matter.
He's got to show them somewhere. It's the only place that he can show them anything. Right. There are no other options.
He threw a 60-yard pass into a net in the corner of the end zone, which somebody should confiscate that video. Again, there are now people that are shooting videos of guys telling them to stop recording on their cell phones. The blatant disregard for the rules at Dolphin camp is truly the main headline.
You look different,
He's
Boselli.
radiant. You do look.
Yes.
You do look, Boselli. You look younger. You look like a different human being right now. You look like excellence personified and a fountain. Did you spend the weekend drinking liberally from a fountain of youth?
I drank the weekends drinking other things. Probably not going to get me to the fountain of youth, but I guess it worked. This is what happens when you spend the weekend with Stugotz.
Yeah. You sound like the way you sound right now. That's right. Where's the jacket, by the way? You took it off.
Why did you take off the jacket? Get somebody.
Want me to go put?
Yes, please.
Want me to go get it and put it on?
If you don't mind, I didn't think it was too far away from it. So, guys, did you try and get in it? I would have loved to have seen you swimming around.
I asked him if I could try it on.
After a weekend of partying, whose jacket? It's not Boselli. Whose jacket you think smells the worst after the weekend?
We should ask him when he gets back here.
Warren Sapp, maybe?
You're going all Hall
I'm just
of
saying because they're
Famers.
all wearing them. You see these videos, everyone's wearing them all weekend. So I'm wondering like who goes after it, where they're like on Monday, it's like, I gotta take this thing to dry cleaner.
There it is.
Look at Boselli. Look at him. Look at him. Even
So
younger.
happy for
even
you.
younger than he was 5 minutes ago. Answer Chris Cote's question, and obviously a million ways over. Congratulations, because despite my very violent and agitated protestations, you are a Hall of Famer. And he's asking whose jacket smells worse after the weekend. Like, of all the gold jackets that were partying, who do you imagine was wearing it too much and was a little too sloppy with the drink?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I might be right up there. I was sweating through this thing on Saturday night, so might have a little tequila smell to it too. So we'll have to get it cleaned when I get back.
Does Chris Berman get an honorary jacket? I feel like that dude's like sweating a lot.
I don't think so.
But he'd be up there.
You have to get in.
Boomer.
Stugotz, what were the highlights of the weekend that you got to spend in the Hall of Famer's bosom?
I would say the ceremony, the speech, the enshrinement ceremony. I cried during Tony's speech. It was weird. I went into rooms that Boselli has no idea I went into. He still doesn't know those stories. I will tell those later on. I would say the after party, hanging out with Tony's friends, his family, his high school coach, and the great lengths that Tony Boselli, during the busiest weekend of his life, maybe the most important weekend of his life, went to make sure I felt comfortable, I was okay, I had everything I needed. I was like, man, you're a Hall of Fame human being, because I wouldn't do that. And Boselli was there for me. But that after party was ridiculous. Like, it was. Now, I know you're mad at me because I went home early, but I had to take your high school coach home. I mean, the great Sam Pagano. He asked me to give him a ride home. I mean.
Well, the funny thing is, by the end of it, I think Coach Pagano was more excited to meet Stugotz than to be there to support me. He literally came up to me. He says, "You're friends with Stugotz?" I met him. I'm like, Coach, yeah, I'm not sure that's something I'm proud of. But yes.
Stugotz.
But it was the big disappointment though was Stu. All of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I was just starting to get going because I had to do all the handshake and kissing babies and pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And Stu sneaked out. He couldn't hang.
Well, I had to take Sam home. Listen, Sam was going to stay. Like, he was not leaving without me.
Yeah.
And so I think his daughter was there, and she was like, listen, Dad's got to get home. And the only one he wants to go home with is you. Now, I drew the line at, hey, come up to my room, and I just dropped him off in the lobby of the hotel. But Sam Pagano, who was a guy who told you you'd be no good at quarterback to go to left tackle, one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. I enjoyed spending time with him and your entire family, Tony. Wonderful people.
No, Stu gets a reputation as an idiot, which is probably rightfully so sometimes. But Stu, it was fun having you. And my only fear is now Stu made friends with all my golf buddies. And Stu let me know before he left. He says, hey, I'll see you on Friday when we play golf. And I'm like, no, I can't wait.
They invited me, Tony.
Stugotz, when you volunteered to drive home Coach Pagano, did you think it was Chuck?
No, I knew it wasn't Chuck at this point because we had established that. I spent the evening before with Sam as well. I didn't drive him home. Tony had shuttles arranged for everyone, but he needed someone to go with him in that shuttle, and that someone was me. And there was no way I was going back once I was there.
Tony, what were the most emotional moments of the weekend for you? The ones where you felt it catching in your chest a little bit?
So, Dan, interesting. I think the most emotional I've gotten has been this morning. I woke up early and, like all of a sudden the chaos and the storm and going from one event to the next. And I was sitting here quietly kind of doing what I usually do in the morning is, read the Bible, get some quiet time and just kind of reflect. And I found myself getting emotional this morning as much or more than at any moment. And I think that what hit me and what is overwhelming, getting into the Hall of Fame is great and it's amazing. And it's a validation and it's of the career I played and how I played on the field and my legacy and everything there. But the overwhelming support from people that I love, we talked about Sam Pagano and Coach Robinson was there, my offense line coaches from Messi, John Matsko and Mike Berry and, a bunch of Jaguars. But then the amount of people in Jacksonville that spent their hard-earned money. And I think we forget this sometimes. I mean, people took a lot of time off work. It's not cheap. We get a flight today and it's not cheap to spend, a week in Canton. And the fact that they would do that for me to come celebrate was amazing. And so that's been hitting me this morning and I've got choked up a few times. And then during the week, I think two of the really cool moments for me, there was a bunch, but walking the Gauntlet on Friday night, that's when you get your gold jacket. You walk down in between all the Hall of Famers and I must have hugged every single one of them and you get the jacket and that's amazing. And then the speech is hard. Obviously, there's some moments in there. But during Saturday, I was sitting backstage. It was the first time I'd heard the video, Mark's video, and I got choked up before I got on stage hearing him talk about me. So I'm sure I'm missing moments. It's an amazing experience, amazing week, and I'm just full of gratitude for the people in my life to come celebrate with me. It's really cool.
Well, you're welcome. I mean. The Gauntlet, for people that don't know, because it's not televised, you don't see it, is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's all the Hall of Famers. Dan Fouts, he announced all the Hall of Famers. They all came out. They form a line. And Tony walked through that line, and you can see how happy he was and filled with pride. I will tell you, I was sitting with some of your friends. They were mocking you because you took the longest to get through the Gauntlet. I mean, it was like a half hour, Boselli. I mean,
it was long, but here's my thinking. Like, I am not going to rush through this. I'm going to do it once. I do not care what anyone else thinks.
That's right.
I mean, I just don't care. And my idiot golf friends, I don't care what they say ever. And so it has no consequence. And I'll tell you one cool thing. I mean, it was amazing. But I'm walking down the Gauntlet and I'm hugging everyone. I look to my left and sitting down at his age is Jim Brown. And I just shook his hand and just said, I looked at him. I mumbled something along the lines, "You're the greatest ever." But that moment hit me. I'm like, holy cow. Number one, I'm in the same group as Jim Brown. Number two, I'm sitting here shaking his hand. And so that was a really cool moment. But Friday night was funny. So you guys will appreciate this. So it's this big civic center and they have an arena where the Gauntlet is. But before that, they have a bunch of ancillary rooms where people eat and everything else because they sell it out. And they take us through each of the rooms to kind of wave and everything. And I walk into one of the rooms, and there is Stugotz sitting with my high school coach and making sure he got up to let me know that he was there. I mean, in the midst of all these people, Stugotz coming up like we'd grown up together in Colorado.
You gave me a big hug, Tone. I mean, you did. You gave me a big hug. You told security, watch out, this guy's trouble. I mean,
can you take us through, because I imagine it's frenzy, it's meetings, it's nervous. You don't want to speak necessarily in front of people. You want to get the speech right. You keep meeting people. It's a drain. it all goes by very fast. But now you've got your Bible, you've got your gratitude, you've got what you're articulating is love. And I imagine somewhere in there is, oh, look, these people who helped me get here, I got to bring them along for the ride. They got to feel like they're happy for me, but they're just happy. Like these are the people who made sure that I got up here.
Yeah, Dan, it's perfectly said, by the way, because that's exactly how I feel. I don't believe any human being gets anywhere by themselves. And maybe there are circumstances I don't know about. But I've never been one to beat my chest and say, see, look what I did. In this whole process, I wanted to make sure the people that are really important to me and the people who supported me, I wanted them to feel like they were going in with me. I wanted to let them know that I am not here without them. I'm not sitting in there without Sam Pagano, with John Matsko, my first offensive line coach, with Coach Robinson, Mike Berry. I could go down the list of teammates, my family, obviously, my parents, my wife. I'm not here. And I think it's just, I've never believed we do anything by ourselves. And Stu heard me say Saturday night at the private party, one of the most important things in this whole world to me is relationships. And that's what gives life value. At the end of this life, when I'm laying on my deathbed or whenever that, hopefully it's not for a long time, how many awards I won, or, how much money I have or don't have, or this or that. That's not what I'm going to remember. That's not what's going to be that's going to mean the most to me. It's going to be the relationships. It's going to be the people that were on this ride with me. And as I rode into Canton, I wanted to make sure that I had the biggest bus, whatever vehicle I needed to make sure all the people that helped me get there had a seat and were on the ride, and they know in their hearts that, yes, I'm getting celebrated. Yes, I'm going to Hall of Fame. Yes, it'll be my bust. I got the gold jacket, but they're going in with me. They are there with me. They're a part of it, and this does not happen without them.
We felt it, Tony. I can speak on behalf of everyone that we absolutely felt it. We went in together. I mean, that's what you and I did.
Why weren't you on the parade together?
Tony, I was there at 8 a.m. I was there at 8 a.m. No, that's not true, Tony. Tony, I was there at 8 a.m. I have video footage. I mean, and I was cursing Brunel on that video. Enough for Brunel.
Was he late? Boselli, was he late? What happened? Did he miss
I'll just say this. When I left the hotel to go get on the car, there was no signs of Stugotz. The first text message I got from Stu is I'm sitting on some old Mustang or Corvette, whatever it was, driving the parade route, and Stu asking, where am I? I'm like, what do you mean, where am I? I'm on the parade.
Where were you? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Stugotz, were you late?
Dan, you were there, okay? He said, be there at 8 a.m. You did the interview with me last week. He said, 8 a.m. parade, you're on it. I was there at 7:55.
He's alleging publicly that you were late.
Yeah.
The Hall of Famer, the Bible holding Hall of Famer, who everyone says is a sweet man, is calling you a liar publicly after his big weekend where he spent it dedicated to you.
The only pass I'll give Stugotz, I still don't think he was there at the hotel at 8. I can't prove that because I left earlier to go to the parade route.
Right. Should have told me that.
So, well, I'm sorry that you
could have slept in. I mean,
Tony, thank you.
So maybe he showed up to the hotel and just got confused of where the parade route started. Stugotz, I apologize. I did not give you very specific handwritten directions of exactly where to be at all points, at all times. But
Tony, I got to be honest. I saw you in the car with Brunel, and then you had 2 Jeeps following you, and it was your family.
You've been in the Jeep, by the way. You've been in the Jeep with the kids.
I know, but I saw your kids there. They were having a blast. I didn't want to be in the parade. After I saw your family, and I realized this is for really important people. It's not for me.
Oh, here we go.
I'm telling you. It was outrage. You guys are right. Chickens are right.
The most important weekend of his life.
Tony's super confused.
Almost went home. I was so upset. I really was. But I do have a question for you. At any point during either of your speeches, the Hall of Fame speech or the speech you gave,
you're not going to do this
during the after party, did you think at all, man?
No.
I gotta squeeze a Stugotz in here. Like I think you, Tony. I think you were thinking it. I do. I believe you were thinking it.
Well, my thought was the only two people who would care about Stugotz being here were Stugotz and my high school coach. So I passed on it. So I passed.
But you thought about it.
The only two people.
Okay.
Congratulations.
We'll just say, just to make you feel better, Stu.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought about it.
Thank you.
There you go.
I love you. I mean, listen, we go in together, Tony. I mean,
Tony,
what a weekend. When I get into the Radio Hall of Fame, okay, you're invited. All right. Parade, everything.
Thank you.
You got it. And I'll mention you in the speech. I mean, because at that point, it'll be you and I in Jacksonville doing an afternoon drive. How about that?
Tony, thank you, and a sincere congratulations. But thank you for including Stugotz in the show in a wonderful weekend. Thank you for taking such good care of the show, and congratulations again. An honor well deserved. You were at the top 1% of the top 1% when your body was cooperating.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. And I do appreciate all the support from the show and Stu and you, Dan. And one of these days, I'm still waiting for the invite when I'm in Miami to actually come in studio. I see all these other guys you have in there and gals. And I've yet to get the invite. So, Stu, it is now on you. I invited you to the party.
Right.
I'm now waiting for an in-studio appearance.
You're right. We'll talk about it Friday at golf, okay? I mean, how about that?
I'm not sure he physically fits in here. Is he too big? He's too big.
I don't think
to
he can
put
fit
in
through this
here.
door.
This is not. I don't know. Not if he's wearing the jacket.
I think you're right, Mike.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations again.
See you guys.
See you, man.
All right, take a quick break. Come back at 9.
Good luck today, boy.
And Hawaii will be somewhere else in the show.
Good luck today.
A couple of things, Stugotz, that gets us a little bit closer to football. Dan Campbell is wearing a hat that reads "grit" on it.
Of course he is.
And he gives us the quote, and I don't know what this means, but it sounds good. And Dan Campbell always sounds good. He sounds like football. He says, quote, "We'll tread water for as long as it takes to bury you." So they're going to tread and tread water and tread
Stay in the
water
game,
and then
Dano.
tread water. And then he's going to threaten to bury you. Also, he calls Josh Reynolds. I've got one question after I read this to you, what he is calling wide receiver Josh Reynolds. He calls him a praying mantis, a spider of death, and a frickin' serpent. And my question to you is, has Josh Reynolds ever had 500 receiving yards in a season?
No, but he's capable. I mean, I'm telling you.
I'm not saying he's not capable, and I might be
He certainly
wrong.
was in the Rams offense.
I might be wrong. He may have had a 500 season with the Rams.
618 yards.
Wow, look at that. Huh?
Does he have any other 500-yard
This
seasons?
is where your fantasy agnosticism really plays into the factor. Otherwise, I mean, why would you have heard of Josh Reynolds if not for fantasy?
Does he have any other 500-yard seasons?
I'm checking.
Well,
But
you got me there, Dan LeBatard.
But
Well,
even
you found the 600-yard
Yeah,
one. That's
I've
not
never
that-
checked
but I
Josh
didn't
Reynolds'
expect
stats.
two.
I mean, this is crazy.
what year is he in? Year 4?
Oh, let me
he
check
is
it.
entering his 6th season in the league, and also 618 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's not a fantasy relevant receiver.
Yeah, no,
if anything,
good for a streamer.
Yeah, but he did it over like 4 games. I mean,
Is it good for a praying mantis, a spider of death, or a frickin' serpent?
No.
I also, when you said I have a question off the back of this, I thought you were going to ask what is the commonality between those 3 animals, because I don't know what the commonality between a praying mantis, a spider, and a frickin' serpent is. What's the same? What is the same about those 3 animals?
Which is the best of those animals? Is
Praying
it,
mantis. I think the women eat the men in the praying mantis.
really?
Yeah, I think after they have their babies, they eat the man.
what about the
after they get it on? Yeah.
Really?
They don't even wait for
Goals.
the pregnancy.
Wow.
That's not the Black Widow? That's the praying mantis?
What is this? What they all have in common? The fact that they kill their partners.
The Spider of Death. I don't know how
No,
it
it's
got
definitely
its
the praying
nickname.
mantis. I know that about that.
The praying mantis is the Spider of Death.
No, the praying mantis does eat the partner.
We don't know about the Spider of Death, right?
I don't know about the Black Widow.
Yeah.
Hell of a pool player though.
Frickin' serpent. I just put it on the poll, please, Whittingham. If you are a praying mantis, a Spider of Death, and a frickin' serpent, should you be able to put together one 620-yard receiving season?
It'd make you the greatest wide receiver of all time, would it not?
It's pretty good. All of those things are pretty good.
I love Dan Campbell. He is so basic. He's such a great coach. He cares. He's passionate. He was ranting about how he loves that every game this season is Sunday at 1 o'clock for the Lions. They don't have a 4 o'clock game, a Thursday night game, a Saturday game, a Monday game. They're not good enough to play in those games.
Thanksgiving can't be at 1 o'clock. I get your point.
No, they play
It's
at
a
noon. They play
12:30.
at noon, yeah.
It's a 12:30 game.
Semantics.
Earlier. He
It's
loves
earlier.
it.
It's like
But
11:30.
every other game is Sunday at 1, and he is so excited that he can have a routine, his team can have a routine, and that he's not good enough to be featured in any 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock games.
Dan was spot on. The Black Widow, in addition to the mantis, also eats the male.
Wow.
So we've got 2 male eaters and a frickin' serpent. A Spider of Death, a praying mantis, a frickin' serpent.
Don't try to have sex with Josh Reynolds.
And it says here that the praying mantis, it says sexual cannibalism is common among praying mantises, and researchers have attributed this behavior to ensuring the survival of the female and her offspring. Seems very intense.
Sexual cannibalism is during or after?
After.
They eat the head.
Because sexual cannibalism sounds like it could be during.
But they got to finish the
I
act.
feel like
No.
we're getting into semantics about like what constitutes the act being finished for praying mantis. Like this is a Ron McGill conversation now.
I disagree. I believe that we can enter into it because once you've made it sexual cannibalism, it's no longer just cannibalism. If it's after sex, then it's cannibalism. It's not sexual cannibalism. If it's
Usually have dinner before sex too.
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to have a bloated belly.
I get that. Yeah, it's the most embarrassing thing for a little fart to pop out.
It's like swimming. You gotta wait a half hour.
Or just get right to it. You don't want the stomach to get after it, especially if
Right.
you've had any sort of
Yes.
alcohol.
Food
Nah.
settles in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Stugotz was telling me during the break some funny stories about being at the Hall of Fame and showed me a video. I will let him tell you what he wants to tell you about this video, but I had a radiant smile on my face because Stugotz was just scanning the room with his phone and saying, I'm not supposed to be in here.
I don't know what to do with this footage because I was not supposed to be in there. Listen, let's start here. I was in a room I didn't belong in. And the fact that I just, turned the phone on and started shooting video with people who had no idea they were being videoed, I don't know what to do.
How
with
did
the
you get
actual
into
footage.
that room? What is the backstory on how you got into this Hall of Fame room filled with Hall of Famers? And I believe I saw at least a few mascots.
So I was at the hotel, Boselli's hotel, before the enshrinement ceremony. And we took a picture together. I spoke to Larry Zonka. I had a conversation with Mark Brunell. And I had no idea where I was going and how to get to places. And so Tony said, Stu. And I asked him right before he left, how do I get over to the stadium, Tom Benson Stadium? He said, get on that shuttle right there. I said, Tony, I can't get on that shuttle. It's for Hall of Famers only.
Gold jackets only.
He said, get on the shuttle. And he walked me towards the shuttle. So I get on said shuttle, and the people that were in that shuttle were Tony Gonzalez, Jerry Rice, I believe Emmett Smith, like a who's who of Hall of Famers. And I'm in the bus. I'm on the shuttle.
With Jerome Bettis.
Yes. And I'm headed to Tom Benson Stadium. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm texting Tony, I'm in a bus I shouldn't be in.
So what do you give these guys on the bus? A little head nod? A little, hey, how's it going?
I didn't say a word.
Okay.
The way that he told me the story in the hallway, though, is that these guys, these gold jackets, many of them statuesque, right? Tony Gonzalez.
Yes. He looks great, by the way.
Stugotz was strutting among them. We kind of bypassed Boselli telling us earlier that he was going to put Stugotz in the car in the parade with his kids, which I just love. Stugotz is the hood ornament. The ornament of that car. But his
kids are great, by the way.
You had some swagger.
Great family. Yeah.
In that group, in that cluster.
You have to act like you belong, Dan. When you're in a group like that, you just have to sell that you belong to be in that group. So the bus, which, by the way, had a police caravan. So, like, we are getting a police caravan. I'm on a bus. There are 4 cops surrounding the bus, taking me straight to the stadium. Now, they drop me off in this area. And I get off the bus and I just start following the Hall of Famers. Again, acting like I'm supposed to be there because that's how I act. And so I just followed them and no one stopped me. At one point, someone said they're taking pictures, asking for autographs. They said, "Who's that?"
Is this the night? I need to paint the picture. Is this the night you were dressed in that nice blue shirt with the jeans, or is this the night you're in your Masters hat cash?
No, this is the enshrinement ceremony.
Okay, so you were cash.
I had the Masters hat on. Yes.
Yeah, just because like it's a different vibe. I don't know, because like you don't look like a guy that's about to get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
This is right after the parade. I'm sweating. I have this Masters hat on. I mean, I don't look like I shouldn't be in that room. But we get off the bus. I walk in after the parade from the hotel. I walk in, I'm walking behind Tony Gonzalez, Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, act like you've been there before. I'm acting like I've been there before, acting like I belong. And then all of a sudden, I end up in a room, and it's the Yellow Jacket room. And it's the room you sit in before they announce you out on stage for the Hall of Fame. And so I just start shooting video. And I am telling you, Zonka was eating a hot dog. Howie Long was 5 feet away from me.
Mike, he was.
Bob Kraft's in the room. I mean, it's a who. All the Hall of Famers are in one room, and I took video, and I just kept saying I shouldn't be in this room,
Mike.
Because I had no business being in that room. I'm not allowed to be in that room. In fact, I'm certain I'll never be in that room again. But for one day and one day only, I was in the room.
And he's trying to take you into the room, the listener, by figuring out how to do the super follow thing and charge you to see this video, which includes, I will only give you a snippet, him looking over at somebody who was eating an hors d'oeuvre, a giant person, and saying, "Introduce yourself." I don't know. I thought it was a great way to do that. Why did you do it that way?
I didn't know who he was. He's gotten older. I mean, now I have to reveal who it was.
Yes,
It was Ted Hendricks.
The Mad Stork?
The Stork, yeah.
Introduce who you are. He was eating something off of a small plate.
He was.
And
yeah.
I think he was mildly insulted by Stugotz, although Stugotz tried to hide it well, having no idea who he was.
Well, he hears me saying I shouldn't be in this room. I shouldn't be in this room.
You're whispering it into, he's whispering it into a phone.
No, I'm saying, Mike, you have to see this video, okay? And he is saying, "Hey, you're in the room. Shut the hell up. Like, you're here. Enjoy it. Take some video. Get the mascot. Have a hot dog." And so I did.
How's the video quality on the video? Because
Terrible.
I saw some of the contributions that looked like you were doing it off an old Nokia.
Well, I was doing it off my iPhone.
Did you see some of the videos on social media?
Yeah.
Very grainy.
I know.
Some of it looked like the Zapruder footage.
Mike, you're going to be so proud of me because I take 3 videos, okay? One is I'm not supposed to be in this room and I set up the room. But second is me with a Hall of Famer. The third one is me with another Hall of Famer. Actually, there's 4. So the way I set it up, and I did not do this intentionally at the time, for this super follower thing is I lay the groundwork. I'm in a room that I'm not supposed to be in. It's filled with Hall of Famers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tweet that out and say, if you want to see what happened in the room, then you have to follow me.
Have you done any of the legwork to establish a super follower account?
No, but Billy's almost done with it.
Okay, it takes time. Well, you have to fill out tax forms.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you have to. That's part of
1099, like. Really? Okay.
Yeah, fill out a W-9. You have to, if you have an S corp, you have to make sure that's in there.
Right. But I'm in a room that I shouldn't be in.
How do you
Mike.
know you even qualify? Billy's handling all of this.
You've mentioned that,
We've established that.
No, but Mike, that's the exciting part. So
My
I will
favorite part
fill
was
out,
when
like,
you established that, and then you followed it up by saying, like, I shouldn't be in this room because I'm not a Hall of Famer. The only Hall of Famers in this room. I shouldn't be in this room.
I think
but
you
no one kicked me out. No one kicked me out.
Act like were you holding a ladder? That usually helps.
No, but how did I get in there? How did no one say something
Well,
to
I
me?
can't wait to find out on the Super Followers.
There you go. So I'm going to fill out these forms as quickly as possible.
Which means
because
never.
I am sitting on gold.
Takes a while though.
Should get
Been
to it
waiting
by
on those
Friday.
things for a while. Yeah.
Chris Cote has asked this question, and I want to follow him down this path
Amazing.
because Michael Irvin, who Stugotz spent some time with at the Hall of Fame,
in the room,
remembers playing in the Super Bowl, and a play that was called for him was instead thrown to Alvin Harper, and Michael Irvin chased him down the field in the Super Bowl screaming, "That's my touchdown. You're going there with my touchdown." Because we're all selfish in our own ways, and it is rare to be the kind of joyfully giving that you are as happy for Boselli as Boselli is when he goes into the Hall of Fame, because you're a wildly unselfish person. Chris Cote says that Stephen A. Smith, I don't believe you were asking this question. I believe you were accusing him of this, that Stephen A. Smith, as he takes this month off from First Take, is hoping for a plummeting of the ratings.
It's he took off. He had like major shoulder surgery, so he's been gone.
The tough one,
like a month. What, the surgery or me saying that?
Shoulder surgery. Yes,
you saying
got the money.
I saw you walk up to the speed
Very
bump,
tricky.
get scared of the shh and the speed bump.
Case of the Monday tongue. Happens to everybody,
We've all been there.
especially when you're boating.
Yep. Bay.
Great Bay.
So I wondered, he's out for a month and a half. He's not hoping for the ratings to go up. That we can at least agree on that.
I agree.
He's at least
agree.
we can all 1,000%. He's hoping for a flat line. Yeah, but I would bet hoping for a little dip, just so he can walk in. He can kick that door in. August 15th.
Yeah.
The boy's back. Don't worry. The ratings, Norby. Don't worry. The ratings are back.
When I come back, the ratings come back.
Also,
You're right.
I will time it out that when I come back, all the sports do too. Curious how he did that.
He has to have been wild. Every time there's a big news story, he's got to be like, damn it. They've got their ratings bump for the day. People are going to tune into ESPN, not because of who's on, but because there's a big news story. He's rooting against the news. He's rooting against things happening.
He's missed the Watson stuff. Damn it.
You're now telling me, you guys have now turned this into him raging at his television because news is broken that is preventing the ratings from dipping further.
Let me tell you something. There is nobody in America who is rooting against Kevin Durant getting traded than Stephen A. Smith. If Stephen A. Smith gets traded, or if Kevin Durant gets traded while Stephen A. Smith is on vacation,
He'll come back.
He is going to be fuming.
I believe that's a holdup in the Kevin Durant trade. Is everybody is waiting for Stephen A's
He's
shoulder.
coming back with a sling over the jacket.
A shoulder that he hurt carrying the company, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is waiting. The reports are that no one wants to be the third team facilitator and help the Brooklyn Nets out because it'll set like all the trade markets to an astonishing level. No, it's because they want to wait for Stephen A.
But Woody, that's the story that gets him off vacation, is it not? If Durant gets traded?
No doubt.
Yes.
No doubt. Him. And
Yes.
do you think now here's the line? How about Donovan Mitchell? If Donovan Mitchell gets traded,
Nah.
or is that a remote
Wait, to the
appearance where
Knicks?
we're seeing
To the Knicks, he'll be back.
Ooh, good shout.
He'll be back if it's
Good
the
point.
Knicks.
Yeah.
Feels like when we see Stephen A. Smith's chin on Zoom.
Rachel Maddow just did her first interview since cutting back at MSNBC, and in that article with Vanity Fair, they talk about how when she comes back, the numbers come back with her. She's made some life choices to do more balanced work and have a more balanced life that has her ice fishing, and she will do, 1 day a week instead of 5 days a week in a new media landscape where when you're the ratings person on behalf of a company, you don't have to come back in a sling when Donovan Mitchell gets traded with your arm in a sling over the suit because you've got the deal. Like, I haven't seen a deal like that before where Maddow gets to do projects and Mondays. And they're paying her with a great fear that she was going to go somewhere else because after 14 years of doing that, She's the star of MSNBC.
Stern's got a pretty good deal over at Sirius XM.
He's been on vacation. I don't know his exact
He's
schedule.
got the whole summer off.
Yeah, like months off.
And now he does what? Is it 3 days now?
Yeah, he's been doing 3 days for a while. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
That's
a good
wild.
schedule. Yeah,
it's a really good schedule. I'm all for reduced work schedules in today's day and age.
Same.
It's been made like a big deal. Europe is already kind of migrating over to a 4-day work week. Here, it's a point of contention. And I will say that most of the people, it's the usual cast of characters that are in opposition of, a 4-day work week. Back when they were working 5 days a week, let's say, in their heyday, their entire careers, they didn't have this device that I'm holding in my hand right now. When they went on vacation for 3 weeks, you didn't know if they were coming back alive. You had no way to reach them. When they'd go home, their work wouldn't exist with them. Now we live in a day and age where you're constantly surrounded by your work. I went on vacation over this last weekend. I had 4 Zoom meetings. It is with you at all times. So hurrah for Howard Stern and Rachel Maddow.
I had to give podcast notes back from a plaza in Portugal earlier this summer.
Hoorah? How are you spelling that? How are you spelling hoorah? Why did you make it the House of Commons?
2 O's, yeah.
2 O's.
Yeah.
Malcom Gladwell created a stir this weekend saying of working from home, he says, what have you reduced your life to? And this is...
Doesn't he work from home?
Well, who is he?
Where's the big philosopher office?
Exactly. Stop judging me. I mean, seriously, you live your life the way you want to live it, and I'll live mine the way I want to live it.
I love working from home. There has been so much backlash to people preferring working from home, and some of it seems like it's coming from like commercial real estate companies that are paying for opinion pieces in the Wall Street Journal or something like that. But
an empty office wrote this.
Right. I do get like the people yearning for the office, like friendships and camaraderies, because I have made some of my best friends from going into the office at Sports Illustrated. Not
very nice
here,
of
though.
you. Yeah.
But also, like,
into the office in Sports
I have more
Illustrated,
time to hang out with those people when I'm not working for 14 hours every day in an office and spending money on a commute and eating like the shit that I just had time to slap together at the last minute.
You really did. What was that you were eating with such? You were eating it with a certain ferocity.
My overnight oats, Dan. I have this thing every morning I wake up and remember that I forgot to make overnight oats. And once every like 6 months.
They cease being overnight oats at that point.
Exactly. And you can't, once you remember you have to make them, it's too late. Because you have to do them overnight. You have to remember it the night before. And every single night at 10 o'clock, I fall asleep. And I wake up the next morning and think, God damn it, I forgot to make my overnight oats.
Let's examine, because I think you guys had the same reaction that a lot of people had to Malcom Gladwell, which is quit telling me how to live, old man. Things are changing. You sound out of touch.
Stugotz said, what has he done?
Name something.
Tipping point.
What is that?
10,000 hours and shit or something.
Wasn't that disproven though?
Yes, even he goes back and revisits some of his hypotheses and admits that they are not necessarily right. But you can. I enjoy his books. I've enjoyed his success. I enjoy talking to him. And when I read this, I understood what he was trying to say, which is if we're all more and more disconnected, more and more in our devices, human interaction, human touch, the soulful things that happen when people are together in whatever their work environments are. I understand where he was trying to head with this, but this toothpaste is now out of the tube. I'm sure employers all over are like, oh, shit, I've got so much less control than I used to have. And the thing that can't be unseen is the comforts of home make it so that working from home allow you to have a more balanced life. But why the hell would your employer want you to have a more balanced life? At home, you're going to probably be less efficient as an employee than you are at work. That we can agree on, right?
I totally disagree with you on that.
100% disagree.
When I worked, again, at Sports Illustrated, there were probably more days than not where people would just kind of stand around and talk about fantasy baseball for like 6 hours a day. You think that happens if we're all home on Slack? And everyone who's listening who worked at Sports Illustrated knows exactly what I'm talking about. The fantasy baseball talk was out of control, Dan. Made me resent baseball, made me resent fantasy. no more fantasy baseball talk in the office. That is not being productive. I disagree.
Right here in our Miami offices, we've had Meadowlark HQ kind of relocate for the summer. There have been a lot of productive meetings. There's been a lot of good that comes out of it. But I, for one, can't wait for them to get the fuck out of here so I can get back to work. My administrative days are a mess now because I don't have them. I do a lot more work and I get way ahead of stuff when I have a day to myself at home where I could just power through stuff.
It's interesting that you say that, because then the people listening to this, whether they're running an office or one of the people working in the office, I wonder, when it comes to employees, as a boss, is a boss going to be okay with the average worker's personal pride on making sure they're not stealing money when they're not being watched while at work? Because that's the construct,
hold
right?
On, hold on,
Stugotz has been stealing money inside these studios for years.
We don't have a real place, though.
Dan, like, employers steal wages from employees all the time. Wage theft is a way bigger problem than employees trying to steal back an hour or two of their office days, like chatting with a coworker or going out to lunch or whatever. And I think, like, yes, Tony, taking a shit. Thank you for saying that off mic. Yeah. It's also true. The comforts of your own bathroom during a work day, wonderful. Yeah. The bathroom at the Clevelander, the opposite of wonderful.
I'm not actually arguing with you any of the points here. I think most people listening to this would say, yes, please let me work from home. I'm actually trying to examine, as this time of change happens and workplaces shake under what the pandemic did, which is your bosses want you at work. And people are like, nah. And that's a huge shift. Like, we didn't realize that we had the option. That's something that we just discovered, forced by the evolution of this pandemic. So we're in the middle of it. And of course, employees are going to argue on behalf of, yeah, let me work from home, more freedom. I don't want to, I want to be in my underwear. I want more comfort. But what's going to happen? Because the power's the power and the power's the money, and people don't want to go back to work. And perhaps this right here outside our windows has become the most expensive plot of land in the United States, because San Francisco and New York commerce have realized, wait a minute, I don't have to do this from the office. Let me go to the sunshine. I'm going to go, I'll like the shift. We don't have any of the infrastructure to handle the number of people who are in town, but money dictates this stuff. And it tends to be bosses and the status quo that end up dictating whether change is allowed to happen or not.
But I think people realize now they have options, meaning if their current employer will not allow them to work from home, someone else will. And that's a big advantage.
There's also commuting times. I will tell you, on days that I go into the office, and we have a different job. There's sound quality issues. The show is not the same if people are remote. We have quality control that we have to worry about. We physically have to go somewhere. But on my way to that studio, given that I got a foot in content, but also some administrative stuff, every day that I come to this studio, I am losing 2.5 hours on average of productivity because of just a commute. Just a commute. There's 2.5 hours that I could be applying to actually making dents in some of the other stuff that I need.
And commuting is very expensive. Some companies, if you're lucky, will subsidize it, or you'll get like a pre-tax commuting benefit. But right now, gas prices are high. A lot of people drive to work. Some companies don't even pay for parking, and you're spending money out of your own pocket to drive into your office. Plus, inflation is up. Your wages probably haven't gone up adjacent to inflation. So you're spending more money just to go to work than you would be if you were working from home.
And some of us have lost, I don't know, maybe tens of thousands of dollars in the big crypto crash and can't even access their funds because your crypto dealer decided to file for Chapter 11, freezing all your assets for an indeterminate amount of time.
The Nomad, what, you were in the Nomad bridge where $200 million just
goddamn Voyager, man.
The thing that I wanted, I think most people listening to this would say, yes, of course, please let me work from home. I'm asking you, and I'm asking the audience, two things. One, are companies this nimble and flexible that they can react to the change? You say, I'll work at the company that can. My history, I don't think of companies as being this kind of flexible. And then the next question I want to ask you, because no one around here is being watched. but I trust the personal pride of all of these people I feel like I know to do their jobs. Do you think most workplaces are that, where the boss trusts the personal pride of the employee?
They should. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, it's such a shitty like excuse. Like, oh, I can't trust my employees to do good work for me. It's like, why? Because you think they're stupid or they're bad employees? Like, give them.
But
give
isn't
them
the
some
proof
trust.
in the work though? Like, it's your productivity. So if you're doing it from home and not producing, then your boss is going to take notice.
Then your boss will notice.
Right.
But I would venture to guess that during 2020, people who were able to keep their jobs, because there were a lot of layoffs, probably worked the most that they had in their entire lives, because there was no off switch. If your workday ends when you leave the office, if you're working in an office, if you are working from home, there's no off switch. You're basically in your office the entire day. And at that point, I don't think many people had worked from home before, and they didn't know how to create that boundary. So I'm guessing, and I certainly felt this way. I was working like 14 hours a day sometimes for a full week, and just like didn't have any break from it because I was working from my office basically.
I will push back. Like I don't turn it off once I leave these studios. I actually go to an office and my work continues the entire time. Which
But
is
you
why
feel rushed the entire time. You feel rushed, don't you?
Hybrid work from home, work from studio. Like we get to come in part of the week and work from home part of the week. It's not an either or for us. But yes, I agree. Like I also work from home probably more.
A lot of conventional workplaces are moving towards that hybrid. I think that there's a lot to actually coming into a communal workplace and seeing people, identifying workflows and having face-to-face. Just 5 days a week seems crazy if we're trying to be max productive. I know from personal experience, I'm way more productive when I'm working remotely and I can just concentrate on the work, but I'm not saying cut it off entirely. And a lot of people are moving towards that hybrid that you just outlined.
I think people got a taste of, hey, I could work from home, no commute. I could be more productive, or at least, produce.
Not a taste. It's not been a taste. It's been 2 years.
But it's also a taste of like, hey, spending time with my family,
Sure.
like eliminating a commute, like all that stuff. And I think there's enough employers out there who are willing to allow that as long as you're being productive, where people are like, hey, boss, if you're not going to let me do it, someone else is going to let me do it.
The part to me that is most stimulating of my curiosities, as you see Apple TV, which doesn't make very much stuff. They're very careful about it. Do with Ben Stiller a Severance project that the name of the show is Severance, and it's basically art about work-life balance. I believe that what the pandemic has done to the people listening to this and beyond is alert everybody, because of health, danger, the feeling that things are coming apart or more chaotic. Hey, do I need to have this relationship with work that I have? Like, is there another way for me to make money? Is there another way for me to live? Is there a different way outside of my patterns for me to live that isn't the workaholic mindset that rules capitalism, where you just press the gas and of course you work 16 hours a day and you just keep going? I think there's the whole construct is shaking. The whole construct of how labor, what's going to happen with scarcity beyond climate change in our grocery stores and everything else is that people don't want to go to those shitty jobs where they're going to get COVID in a meatpacking district. And next thing you know, you can't get chicken or turkey, and it's bird flu combined with labor forces don't want to go do that job if they could go work for Amazon outside, and it's a different job.
But what I'd pose is around 2007, workplaces got a lot more toxic in that you couldn't actually leave them when you physically left them. We're at an unprecedented time when it comes to the demands of the employees, because everybody here is constantly on their phone, constantly dealing with work stuff in ways that if this were 1998, you wouldn't have the availability to do that stuff. So they've been asking far more of the worker without even actually having to ask that, because technology has made it so. So now I think putting in protections for the workers, whether it be a vacation policy such as this company has, which is off time honor system. Just make sure you're on top of your work. Don't fall behind. But there's no actual set holiday time that you actually have to file and take before, or things like hybrid working arrangements or 4-day work weeks. A lot of places are going to this, and I think it's productive.
How different is going to be in 10 years? Forgive me for...
Well, in 10 years, it's going to be all robots.
Mm-hmm.
People have been saying that since like the 50s.
Right.
Like
Yeah, but they're doing it now.
Yeah, but there are
there
more
is
robots.
more
happening now.
automated stuff
Yeah.
right now. But like some of the automated like advancements that we've made still need humans to
I think there's
help them work.
I think there's a Coral Gables restaurant already working on
At
almost
Sergio's.
just
I went to
robots.
Sergio's in Kendall and a robot took my order.
Really?
Yeah. There was a human there to make sure that the robot wouldn't kill me.
That's- well, that-
Exactly.
this is still
Do
where
Do you
we
tip
are.
the robot?
This
Like, how
is-
does this work?
No, I wouldn't tip the robot, but I am tipping the person that's watching the robot.
Stugotz, surely you have
Scam.
noticed this in grocery stores that the automated lines have now replaced the only old people who are at the cashiers, and everybody is scanning themselves out now. They've already replaced half of the workforces in most of these places.
I love going to a cashier. I will not scan myself
agree,
out.
Stu.
I don't
So much
listen.
faster.
I am not there to pack my own bags, put the groceries in my. No, I need to pay a cashier. I don't trust myself. I don't like doing it. It's too tricky. It's too much work. I'm not supposed to do their jobs for them. No.
Stugotz, this is what we're going to do. We're going to stop the show immediately. Mike Schur has agreed ridiculously as a Meadowlark employee / advisor to every day come on from wherever he is and give us a stat of the day. I think he's either in Scotland or on his way to Scotland.
Huh.
It appears he's
Weird.
still in his home. He has not yet left, but we will stop the show every day to get a stat of the day from Mike Schur. So let's go ahead and do this, Mike.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
It is presented by ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Mike, what is today's stat of the day?
Hi, guys. It's Mike.
Hi, Mike. We established
Folks,
that.
Eric Lauer is a left-handed pitcher for the Brewers. In the year 2021, the last year the pitchers hit, he was 4 for 26 at the plate, had a 258 on base percentage, and a 527 OPS in 37 plate appearances. Why is this interesting? Well, because this year, Justin Verlander has held all opposing hitters to a 231 on base percentage and a 520 OPS. In other words, after not pitching for 2 years, at the age of 39, Justin Verlander has turned every hitter in the entire league into Brewers left-handed pitcher Eric Lauer.
How is that possible? That's just baseball's weird or science or the HGH? What? How?
Maybe someone should look into that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. We look forward every day until the end of time for you to come on and do stat of the day. But as someone who governs a business, Mike, you might be able to help us with the conversation we were having when you came in. Like, how much is work and workplaces going to change with the pandemic showing labor? Hey, I want to work from home, and bosses being like, hey, you need to get to the office. I want to watch you.
Well, this is my personal huge fear, is that in a number of different industries, businesses are going to use the pandemic to say, hey, we don't need to pay for office space. We don't need to pay for supplies and lunches and coffee. Why don't you all work from home? It's happening in Hollywood, certainly, and it's happening in a lot of other places too. I really feel like this is a massive opportunity. The way that a lot of businesses see it is an opportunity for the further exploitation of the American workforce. So I don't want to check myself out of a grocery store, not because I don't trust myself like Stugotz, but because I think that the world needs jobs that are not automated. And I'm afraid that a lot of them are the rate of automation is going to accelerate greatly. And I don't think that's good for the world.
Jessica, your thoughts there? Because that's what Malcom Gladwell is arguing. He's saying, what have you reduced your life to? What do you think?
Well, that's different. That Gladwell article is ridiculous, in my opinion.
Thank you, Mike.
It's ridiculous. If you're Malcom Gladwell, you're very wealthy and successful.
Easy
it's
for him
very
to
easy
say.
to argue that everybody should always go into work. because he's arguing from a position of extreme privilege. I don't agree with his approach to this. I don't think that he's saying what I'm saying. I think he has a little bit of the like, if I can do it, anybody can do it, which is never a good argument to make when you're a very wealthy and successful person.
When he says that, when Mike Schur says the exploitation of employees, because the group was arguing on behalf of, as I imagine most employees would argue on behalf of, I prefer to work from home. He's articulating dangers I did not hear in the room.
I don't think that most people do want to work from home. I feel like it's probably a mix. Like, people would prefer to have an option. And I think that it's incredibly shitty to have the opinion that if my employees aren't sitting here so I can watch them all day, they must not be getting anything done. They must be lazy and taking advantage of me, when historically in America, employees are the people who take advantage of labor.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Jessica's right. So the problem here, I think, is that there's a difference between someone who would prefer the flexibility, say a single parent, who would prefer the flexibility of a schedule of, like, if I work from home, I can pick up my kid from school more easily or whatever. There's a difference between that and, like, get your lazy ass into work every day so that you can be sitting here to do research for me when I write my next book. That's not, those two things are not the same.
But you're alleging, just so I have this right before you get on a plane to do a stat of the day from a different country, that the employer is going to take advantage of all of these things and turn us into slaves in 10 years who cannot get away from work because we're working from home, but we're always at work.
I wouldn't quite use the word slave, but I think that the history of capitalism would suggest that at any opportunity, people in management or ownership tend to find ways to better take advantage of people who are in the labor force. And I don't necessarily think whether that's automation of a cashier system or truck drivers or whatever, or just I want you to be sitting at your desk so that you can go get me lunch when I want lunch. Those two things are not the reasons that we should, those are different reasons for why you should come into work. And I think generally speaking, flexibility is good, but conscription is not.
Also, if you're going to get rid of your $200,000 a month lease, like, invest that back into your employees, or I don't know, do something with that money that's constructive. Like, we've taken so many things away from employees in the last few decades. Like, people don't get pensions nearly as much as they used to. You're not getting stock options if you work for a big company anymore. Your executives are likely getting 6-figure to 7-figure bonuses, but the actual employees don't get any of that. So maybe if you pay people more, they'll agree to come into work 5 days a week and not grumble about it, because they're not going to be spending their own money on their commute and gas and parking and everything that it costs to go into work every day. And I don't know. I think the solution to a lot of these problems is just, like, pay people well, and they won't complain as much.
I think that's exactly right. And I also think that it's great that the stat of the day music is still playing underneath this entire discussion.
Every year at about this time, Stugotz, and it's been many, many years, slow content time of July and August in sports, somebody will trot out there the argument, should Pete Rose be back on Major League Baseball field? Should we allow him into the Hall of Fame? Should we get over this gambling stigma that baseball's changed a million ways since the hardline stance on Pete Rose? Yesterday, Pete Rose made his way back into the news stream, and I assumed it was about that. It was not. Someone let him near a microphone.
Yep.
Someone let him near microphones. He's going out there maximum Pete Rose. However you think that would age, that's how it aged. It's wearing a baseball cap that looks like an 80-year-old man who doesn't know how to wear a baseball cap anymore. A guy who is a professional baseball player now looks every bit of 80 years old and hard living. And they let him in the booth, and he can't read the room. He doesn't understand that the broadcasters are troubled by his language, and this is what he says during the broadcast. And he's super amused by himself, and the broadcasters are clearly in their silence. You could still hear their discomfort.
Joe said, "Tony, congratulations. What did you hit?" And Tony says, "Joe, I hit a cock-high fastball." And Joe didn't know what to say. Joe said, "No shit."
That's looped out to right field.
You changed the subject real quick on that loop out to right field.
I'm just describing the action.
Pretty sure we don't have a 7-second delay, so. Ooh.
When John Kruk is your
Crucky. Yeah.
John Kruk is your moral arbiter on I'm uncomfortable with the way you're talking. He also said, and he was asked about an underage relationship that he had before a woman was 18 years old, and his response was, quote, "No, I'm not here to talk about that. Sorry about that." And then this sentence, because you can get out of this situation with this sentence if you say it just a little more cleanly. It was 55 years ago, babe. Pete Rose being maximum Pete Rose. You can't let him near the microphones. You can't let him on the field. You can't.
It's okay without the babe is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that all of it. I'm saying no, I'm not yet. Stugotz, really?
I mean, that's what it sounded
it's
like.
made worse. No comment is not no comment, babe. When that, you can't be that dismissive of what is being alleged there. You know.
And he's saying you can't bring something up that's from 55 years ago, but they're honoring him for something that happened like 50 years ago.
That's right. In 19, they were honoring the 1980 baseball team. So yeah, 40 some odd years ago. Pete Rose has been doing it wrong for a long time, man. He was like Lenny Dykstra before Lenny Dykstra.
Nails.
Let's get to a weekend observation and funniest things from the sports weekend. I want to get into those things here. And I also want to, while we're at it, Stugotz, talk about Conor McGregor's acting debut. He is going to be in a remake of the movie Roadhouse.
Wow. They're going to remake that movie? Like, they nailed it the first time. There's no need for a remake. Like, Sam Elliott was perfect. Patrick Swayze was perfect. Mike, how do you feel about this? Because you love the movie the way I love the movie. And I don't like that Conor McGregor. Is he going to be Sam Elliott?
No. Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be the star of this film. And the plot is a former UFC fighter moves to the Florida Keys to become a bouncer at a roadhouse. So it's a total reimagining. And it's Keys vibe. And there's plenty of former UFC fighters that work in the Keys. So I like this.
It's just going to be America's Top Team. They're going to use all those guys to have fight scenes.
Love it. I love this idea. Roadhouse, like, do something totally different. That way there isn't a direct comparison. But it's still going to be called Roadhouse, so you can't avoid that. Like, there was a Point Break remake that came out that was so different and awful.
Terrible.
It wasn't even remotely close. It's like, why would you even tarnish that brand?
How would you explain Roadhouse to Jessica, who doesn't know what it is that we're talking about?
All right, so these roadhouses in the South, they have a lot of rough customers that come in there, and some of them need to be roughed up a little bit and get some of their own medicine. And in comes Patrick Swayze, who could coincidentally throw a kick.
Oh, yeah.
He could throw a kick and rip out a trachea.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a scene in the movie where he rips someone's throat out.
The key to the movie is there's a young hotshot bouncer who's being trained by the Yoda of bouncers, kind of Sam Elliott, who's the greatest ever. And which is why I don't think there's need for a remake, because I think they nailed it the first time around. Like, this is going to pale in comparison to what they did the first time.
Can you guys just tell me what the Rotten Tomatoes score was on Roadhouse? Because I believe Stugotz
37%.
100% for me.
Jessica is right. You continue to talk about what a great movie this was. I don't. It is.
Is that a critic score?
Any
what
movie,
is that?
Any movie that Patrick Swayze can squeeze into some jeans is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
66 on audience scores too.
Okay, I mean,
still an F.
No, it's not. 66 is fine on
66
audience.
is an F.
Put it on the poll, Whittingham. Do you want to watch a movie that has gotten a 66 Rotten Tomatoes score? Because that's about where my line is. I will watch a 66. That's about. I won't go much lower than that. I've got to be really bored to dip below 60.
The movie poster is so 80s.
It
tells you
bad.
everything that you need to know.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze leaning on a wall in his jeans. On that wall are 3 separate photos. A car crash that's exploding. Patrick Swayze making love. Patrick Swayze sweaty, shirtless, doing martial arts.
I love the opening line of the description. The Double Deuce is the meanest, loudest, and rowdiest bar south of the Mason-Dixon line.
They ain't lying.
And Dalton has been hired to clean it up.
Yep.
On Rotten Tomatoes, it says, whether Roadhouse is simply bad or so bad it's good depends largely on the audience's fondness for Swayze and tolerance for violently cheesy action. So I guess if you like Patrick Swayze, probably worth watching.
Esquire many years ago considered it the most homoerotic, not trying to be homoerotic movie.
Over Top Gun?
It was,
really?
Yes.
It's an upset.
The article was amazing to read just because there is a lot of writhing and that movie poster is exactly what they went for, which is Beefcake Swayze lives in a farmhouse and the car explodes when it's in a crash and he explodes when he makes love. And also he's doing martial arts and he's shirtless.
I find it hard to believe it's worse than Top Gun in that regard, because Top Gun really
worse or better?
I mean, better. I mean, they put the pedal to the metal on that one. Did you see Top Gun 2 Maverick just past Titanic in the all-time box office rank?
I did see that. Yeah.
What a dub for Tom Cruise.
It's unbelievable.
Major dub.
60-year-old dub.
60 years old.
Everybody wrote him off. Everybody was trying to just put this exclusive on streaming, and he sat it out for the opening of movie theaters, and he has single-handedly brought the movie theater industry back.
Lewis Hamilton, apparently, according to this Vanity Fair article, was almost one of the fighter pilots in Top Gun Maverick, but he had to, at the last minute, call Tom Cruise and tell him he couldn't make it because he had to drive in Formula One. Yeah.
It's the biggest
Big
movie
mistake.
ever, is what you're saying? You're saying,
And it could have been bigger.
Yeah, it's not the biggest movie ever because Avatar, I think, reclaimed #1 because they did a re-release. It's the top 10 looks a lot different in a post-Marvel Cinematic Universe world, but it's, I think, now 7th all time. Top Gun Maverick. I mean, think about it. Unreal win.
If you had come to me in the pandemic and simply said to me, what is this going to be? I would have said, why are they doing this? Don't do this.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
You did say that.
And you were wrong.
You were so gloriously wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis Hamilton couldn't possibly have the time available in his schedule to do this because there was rigorous training. I read
that's exactly what he said. He said he needed to train for it and he didn't have the time for the training, and also he's a perfectionist, so he knew if he was going to do it, he wanted to do it the right way, and he just didn't have the bandwidth. But he was very upset because he is a close personal friend of Tom Cruise. He's in the paddock often, the Mercedes paddock, Dan.
The bar was placed so high by Tom Cruise on what the hell do you do at 60 that can top what your resume has been. I saving the movie industry in the theater with one of the biggest box office smashes ever in a remake of nostalgia, done well because an
action movie in his 60s.
I have not heard anyone say that it's wrong for this movie to be popular. People are saying that the movie is great, and I have not heard otherwise from anyone.
It's amazing.
It's incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible. And you can
really
actually see the G-forces on their face because they had to do severe G-force training for several months in anticipation of this role. So much so that Miles Teller had an incident where he had to go to the hospital because he had jet fuel go into his bloodstream. He was very happy, understanding that Tom Cruise takes this up very seriously, and he kind of wanted to wear that scar as a badge of honor. He went up to Tom Cruise saying, "Hey, Tom, I've got jet fuel in my bloodstream." Tom dismissed him, saying, "I was born with it, kid."
Goosebumps. I mean,
Little did Lewis Hamilton know, all he had to do to prepare for that was driving the 2022 Mercedes car, right, Woody? The porpoising, Dan.
But Mike, in Tahoe, like Miles Teller, who was not invited to Tahoe last year, by the way, was invited this year. That was the person that everyone wanted to be around. Like even Mahomes, Kelsey, they all wanted to be around Miles Teller.
He drew a huge gallery, and I would see like his crowd. I'd be surprised by it, and I heard people like, "Oh, that's Rooster. That's Miles Teller." That not from Whiplash. People would say, "Oh, that's Miles Teller from Top Gun. That's Rooster from Top Gun." It is now the role that Miles Teller, who was an accomplished actor, it is now the role that he's known for.
Didn't Whiplash win Best Picture or Best Director Or was it not? It was
J.K. Simmons.
nominated?
J.K. Simmons had to have won.
That was a
Best Supporting Actor.
hugely critically acclaimed film, and Miles Teller was great in it.
You realize how hard it is to do what they did? If I asked Tom Cruise what's the best case scenario for it, it falls short of this, correct?
I'm guessing. Yeah, I don't think he thought the movie would have this type. I think he thought it would be successful, not this type of successful. This is historic.
It makes no sense for this to be a giant. Like, you need a pandemic to happen in order for this to be that at the theater.
He bet on himself because Paramount was really pushing to make this a Paramount Plus exclusive. Use it as a draw to get people there. It is unreal how much he won. Because everyone was saying, you can't make a sequel to Top Gun. At your age, you can't make that good. You can't get people to go to the movie theaters in a post-pandemic world. Why are you sitting on this? It's already been in the can for 2 years. At every turn, he was like, I'm going to put this out the way that I envision. So much so that there is a welcome message before you see Top Gun Maverick where Tom is thanking you for coming to the movie theater. And he bet on himself and won big. How does he top it? Where does he go from here? Does he have any new projects? We know what he's doing next year, which is Mission Impossible Part 7, Parts 1 and 2.
At LeBatard Show, please put it on the poll. Did you have Tom Cruise resurrecting the movie theater with a fighter pilot movie? Aaron Rodgers is great at football because he's tripping balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was kind of weird that he revealed that he put DMT into his system as someone that has been so public about being careful about what they put into their bodies.
A DMT, correct?
Yeah, DMT with a EA at the end.
I've wanted to do ayahuasca. I've never been brave enough to do it. I've wanted everyone I talk to. It makes you very sick, but it's a plant medicine that makes you feel, that links you to source and can change you. Like I've always
sucking shrooms.
He's been doing that too. He's been doing psychedelics as well.
Mixed messaging, no?
I don't believe that drug use of the kind that he's following, like these are spiritual realm type of things that he's arguing on behalf of. Like, I know a lot of people who do this. So when you're talking about mixed messaging, you were judging it. I didn't judge it as anyone other than somebody who's searching, looking for different ways, through the galaxies to figure out, how to make himself more spiritually aligned.
Am I judging it? I guess so. I think Aaron is kind of entering the Kyrie Irving, Aldous Snow area for me. It's just the levels of eccentricity, and it's almost like it's a public avatar that someone wants to make themselves more interesting by educating themselves. He's a very bright guy, knows a lot about history, and I'm sure what he puts into his body, he researches thoroughly. It's just there's so many weird hypocrisies.
But can it just be searching? Does it have to be? You can't call it a hypocrisy without the judgment inherent to that. So if he's inconsistent or hypocritical, can it just be searching? That through therapy, through love and relationships, through not wanting to put things in his body, but the spiritual path, because I know he would argue on behalf of ayahuasca being a spiritual path. He's not just doing drugs in order to get high. He's searching for something.
No, he's very clear. Like, that's how he's positioning it. And like I said, I hear him out. It's just I don't take it to mean much to me. Like, it's just, okay, there's Aaron Rodgers. He's been going through it publicly for a couple of years trying to figure it out.
I mean, it feels good. It's convenient to put it under that umbrella. I'm searching for something.
Well, it feels good. You're doing mushrooms. Ayahuasca does not feel good.
Oh, right.
Ayahuasca makes you pretty sick. It's on the back end. It's supposed to be enriching and fulfilling in a way that changes, your relationship with ego. DMT is supposed to do the same thing.
You can have bad trips, though. This is
people. But DMT doesn't make you feel good, or
I don't know anything about that. I've researched ayahuasca, and so I know that I've been afraid of it because of how bad it feels. It's not about it feeling good. I think DMT has some properties that feel better than that.
I feel like we sound like some herbs right now. No pun intended.
there aren't a lot of people in here who are using these kinds of drugs, except for Stugotz at these dead shows. But you're saying mushrooms on Feel Good.
I ain't searching for anything. I'm just searching to feel good.
This is not what Aaron Rodgers is doing, though. It's not just like, it really isn't just getting high for the sake of getting high. But it's indisputable that this is something that, while you say Kyrie Irving and you're already tired of it, this is really unusual for quarterbacks. Like the quarterback personality type, never mind doing this, sharing it. Like, that's not.
No, he's an unusual guy. He doesn't really fit a cookie cutter.
But he's doing what he wants publicly. Like, there must be some freedom for him in feeling freer with whatever it is that he's doing on this path, when he is now leaning into something that he avoided for a long time as an adult quarterback who didn't want to. He was interested in being in the State Farm commercials, and more than that, he was interested in being liked. And now he's talking about stuff that separates himself ego-wise from being liked. You don't volunteer yourself to this unless you're putting into the atmosphere, feel free to judge me. I'm about to say something no quarterback says, no quarterback admits.
Well, I like that he gives me something to go off of. I like, he is very unique as a talent at his height, greatest that I've ever seen. I like that he's showing me a lot of himself. I don't have to necessarily be down with every bit that he shows me. It's just, I do think you have to be in a good headspace for this stuff, so I hope that he is. I'm sure he'd argue that he is, and that's fine. Just be careful, because these things can go sideways. One time you're having a good time drinking some tea. Next time, Bob Tunyon's liver is in your oven, and you don't know how it got there.
Are you ready, Stugotz, to do funniest thing from the sports weekend and weekend observations? Which would you like to do first, sir?
Weekend observations.
All right. Stugotz's weekend observations. I imagine this is going to be soaked in some serious Boselli. Stugotz still smells like the weekend. Let's do Stugotz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, the sport has been on the decline for many, many years. Slow pace, boring games, a ridiculously long regular season, but with the right teams in the right markets being really, really good, combined with balls either not being hit at all or being hit a mile long. Dan, is it just me? Or is Major League Baseball back?
Wow.
I'm asking you.
They had like record crowds this weekend.
I know, it's crazy.
I've been trying to get you interested in your first place Mets all season. I've been confused.
I mean, they got a staff.
Yeah.
6.5 up on the Bravos. 4-5 over the weekend. I mean,
you've got a good baseball team. Yes, I know. It's been
Carrasco.
It's been curious that it's taken you this long. It's been a really weird thing. Dead shows.
Yeah. Lionel Messi, do it in the World Cup. Friday night, before the enshrinement ceremony, there is something called the Hall of Fame Gauntlet, and it's quite simply the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's better than the enshrinement ceremony. I am telling you. It is brand new Hall of Famers walking through and shaking hands and hugging all the old Hall of Famers. Holy bleep. Jim Brown doesn't get up for anyone, by the way.
Well, I think his legs are weak.
Even if he could, Dan, I'm telling you, he would not get up for anyone.
He shouldn't have to. Okay,
they all bow to him.
Fair enough.
And they should.
He's been walking with a cane for a while.
I know. Bobby Bonilla's contract. The gift that keeps on giving. Top 5 gifts that keep on giving.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Number 5, a nice tie. The reason I say that is I had to bust one out this weekend, and someone gave it to me. It's a gift.
I know, you're like, wow.
Keeps giving.
Keeps giving. I'm still using this gift.
I've worn that thing in like 4 years. Thank you, Woody. I knew you would love this. In fact, Woody filled one in. Number 3 is Woody's. Number 4.
I thought it was your top 5 list.
It doesn't matter. I share. Communal. A magazine subscription.
Sharing is what you're now calling your laziness.
Yes.
A magazine
It's a
subscription?
gift that keeps witty. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
100%. You forget that you haven't subscribed, and all of a sudden, the New Yorker shows up in the mail once every 3 months. It's wonderful.
You've gone with a necktie and a magazine subscription?
I have. Number 3, airplane TVs.
How dated is this? They've stopped making airplane TVs.
This is you and Whittingham combining to put together this list.
5 and 4 was me. 3 was Witty, and I stand with Witty.
If we're being honest, Ty wasn't that great either. The show was just supporting a fucking tie. Like a shitty tie as a gift.
A nice tie.
No one likes getting a tie as a gift.
Well,
speak for yourself.
Number 2.
Tom Brady.
That's true.
Finally, a good one.
Thank you. And number 1, of course, Bobby Bonilla's contract. Bobby Bo. Here come the cards. Oh, they're playing good.
Yeah.
Yep. Live golfers suing the PGA Tour for not allowing them to play in the FedEx Cup. You, of course, know what the Live players want, right, Dan?
What do they want?
They want to have their cakes and they want to eat them too.
Yeah.
Can't have that. Why can't you?
McKay suggests that we send you out to one of these live events just trying to start a bone saw, like trying to start in the background, like making noise to bring, like create artistic performance theater.
Okay.
No.
I don't know what a bone saw means or any of that.
No, we want to.
What am I doing exactly? Explain it better to me.
It's just a noise of protest.
Okay,
with
I'm in.
to be no. What? Yes, you protest the Saudi League and the sports washing of money.
We doing this?
It's very dark.
Okay. Oh. Headline.
I don't think bone saw is a particular brand. I just think you find an electric saw.
The noise it makes.
A
saw.
I don't know what noise it makes. I just know the sounds it makes when it goes boom.
Headline. The Giants plan to play all of their guys in preseason game number 1. August. Also appearing in this week's edition of August, Scotty Miller hopes to show he's more than just a deep threat. I love August. 70.
I mean, at this point, we know what Scotty Miller is, right?
He's a deep threat.
What is it? What more is he going to show us?
He's determined to show you more, Dan, in August. 75 and 33. Run differential of 222 plus 222. Jesus, the Dodgers are good.
Yeah.
Baseball in Southern California is so fun to watch. The crowds are super into it. I wish I had the energy to stay awake for these
Baseball's
games.
back. Aaron Rodgers, psychedelics, my man.
And then there's the Angels.
They lost a game with 7 home runs the other day.
Ow.
They hit 7 home runs and lost.
Top 5 people in sports I'd like to see on LSD. Number 5, Colin Cowherd. The Herd. Number 4, Tom Coughlin. Number 3, Mike Tomlin. Number 2, Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Look, got me. And number 1, of course, Lou Holtz.
Really?
Yeah.
Lou Holtz, number 1.
I can tell you. Tripping my balls off.
I can't
play a little touch of gray.
I heard Reese Davis interviewed the other day, and he said that Lou Holtz used to get genuinely angry when he lost that segment that they did on College Football Final where they wore robes and made arguments. The one time he lost, he actually got mad and walked off the set.
You cannot give me enough fake Lou Holtz saying any number.
Tripping my balls off.
You can't give me enough.
Getting into club drugs.
The drool on the microphone.
Watch out for the Phils.
Really?
Oh, they're playing well. Dan, they're now 38-19 since they fired Joe Girardi. No observation there. Just a reminder that Joe Girardi is a terrible manager.
Oh.
He's not good.
Wow.
I'd like to see Joe Girardi on LSD. It's a weird one.
I'm not sure what
Sucking
you're
on a
doing.
pacifier to avoid eating my own face.
Joe Girardi and Mike Tomlin on LSD. Do you think
Tomlin would be great on LSD.
What do you think you're getting? You're going to get just
a different Mike Tomlin.
I'm just not sure what the common thread is in your list here because I don't understand.
You wouldn't want to see Tom Coughlin wacky on LSD, just seeing things. And
I feel like the common thread is like prim and proper. These
Lou
are
Holtz?
very normal, kind of down to earth people.
Mad Dog Russo.
Yeah, maybe Mad Dog Russo, but just like people who you wouldn't associate doing things like this. And then all of a sudden, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, let's be real, doesn't need to be opened up spiritually. He's already there. Whereas Chris Mad Dog Russo, I feel like he's entering another planet.
What would Witty? What about you?
I mean,
Witty on LSD would be fun. Yeah. Your dad on LSD would be fun. Anyway, Girardi, terrible manager.
Terrible manager.
He's not good. We've had our squabbles over the years, but a tip of the cap to Rich Eisen, who did a masterful job emceeing the Yellow Jacket ceremony on Friday night.
Tip of the cap, Eisen.
That guy could MC. I mean, Goodell is sitting right next to him. It's a stadium packed with people. Eisen was great.
Confident Eisen.
Oh, he was good. Jeez. Canton. Interesting place. Let's just leave it at that. Have you been?
I have not.
You should go.
Well, you didn't just give me the tourist brochure
It's
there.
an interesting place.
That wasn't really Chamber of Commerce you gave me on interesting place. I'll leave it at that.
Just leave it at that.
I licked a toad once. Resulted in me buying a timeshare from Abraham Lincoln.
It's gonna get me every time. Every single time he makes an appearance, all slobbery, and he's stumbling out of nightclub at 4 a.m.
Redditors, am I saying that correctly? Who think there is a correlation between Kyler Murray's bad play and the release of Call of Duty. I stand with you. I mean, there are facts to back it up. Am I as good at my job when I'm going to see Dead & Company?
No.
It would stand to reason that Kyler Murray gets worse the closer you get to Call of Duty, right? And then once it's out, forget it.
Well, it would appear that one, the whole thing was weird because the Cardinals backtracked on that and it just seemed like it needed to be a video game clause. Because the stats, right? There's somebody who's done some private investigative work that would suggest that the more Call of Duty he's playing, the worse that he plays. I think it might not be causation, though. It might be correlation.
Whatever that means. Whoever runs Hulu, some advice. It's never a good idea to piss off Mike Tyson. Iron Mike. Even though Pat McAfee is a retired NFL punter, he might be having his best kicking season ever by kicking our asses all over the sports media landscape.
Kicking everybody's.
The guy's everywhere. Jesus. Although, if you are wondering who owned Hall of Fame weekend this past weekend, wonder no more. It was me. I think at this point, it's fair to say that Pete Rose is just a bad dude. The hit king.
We've got enough information now.
Charlie Hustle. The number one trending topic at the Tony Boselli Hall of Fame party was whether or not Dom Capers was in on the joke. He can't look at himself and say that looks good.
Come on.
I'm sorry. Report.
You're not sorry.
You're right. Report. The earth is spinning faster, and we just had our shortest day ever. Hell is going on. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations. We are 19 days away from the first Hawaii midnight game.
Wow.
And they're getting 11 points at home.
What?
On the Rainbows.
Week 1?
Yeah, no, week 2 for Hawaii.
Oh,
yes.
No, they're.
I think it will be their second game.
They're on the
first,
road in the first game.
The first game is not a midnight game.
Wait, is it
it's
a
not a double
cross-country
down
flight
game. Yeah, I think it
against
is.
Power
Are
5?
you saying, no, it can't be the second game if it's 19 days away. Are you saying the first game is then 12 days
Unless
away?
we're week 0.
Are we you think we're 12 days away from college football?
I think they play 2 games. I'm going to check it out right now. I was looking at it.
0 is the last week of August.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
versus Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Oh, August 27th, 4:30 p.m. Hawaii time against Vanderbilt. Oh, the Commodores don't know what's coming. That's going to be a bad look. Go Bows.
Where is that game? You're saying that's the one in Hawaii?
Yeah. It starts off in Hawaii against Vanderbilt and against Western Kentucky. And then September 10th, they travel to the Big House. That's not going to go well.
No.
Do you guys know they don't play at Aloha Stadium anymore?
What?
Yeah,
Changes everything.
I think it's either being reconstructed or something, but they play at a stadium with an athletics track.
Funding issues, I think.
They've had a very interesting offseason.
What are they, Duke now?
Hawaii's had a rough go of it. Players quit, and there was like a disciplinary head coach, and just all is to say that all goes out the window when it's midnight and you need Hawaii in the over.
Yep. And they're getting 11. I mean,
at home?
Yes.
At their complex?
The steal. Jump on it now, Dano.
They're getting 11 because the SEC is coming to town, even though it's in the form of Vanderbilt. That's just a general fear of the SEC.
You can't say the SEC is coming to town if it's Vanderbilt.
Put it on
they might actually arrive on a sailboat like Commodores, like actual Commodores.
The Coms.
Put it on the poll, Whittingham, at LeBatardShow. Can you say the SEC is coming to town if all that's coming to town is Vanderbilt football? It's a fair point.
Oh, you know who the head coach is now at Hawaii?
Who?
Wait, it is.
Timmy Chang.
I'm betting more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, back to the Hawaii style of June Jones.
Well, I thought I read also, I think I have this correct, that June Jones was viewed as a candidate in Hawaii before they went to Hawaiian favorite.
They go to June
Timmy
Jones
Chang.
first every time that job comes open. And when he says no, and this is the first time ever that he has said no, then they go to Timmy Chang. I mean, this is exciting.
Graham, their former head coach was Todd Graham, who may be a name that you remember. Yeah. He was at Pittsburgh before, Arizona State. You knew it was bad when Graham's own son quit the team.
I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here. It's going to be very unpopular. I, like the people listening, am eager to have football back, but I'm not ready. That's too soon.
What do you mean?
I need a little bit of a ramp up. You've got to prepare me. I need weeks.
Months.
No, I know, but
what are you talking
I know,
about?
but it snuck up on me is what I'm telling you. Look,
it's here.
You just came in and you said, don't try and pretend like you didn't do this. It's 19 days away. It's 12 days away. You tried, you're counting days around here.
Right.
And you said it because you figured the audience would be surprised. I was surprised. I'm telling you, I'm not ready for football. Football needs to slow down. I need, if you're going to take over my weekends, my life, if I'm going to feel that special kind of dirty and sad late Sunday night because I've watched too much college football and too much pro football, I need more of a warm up here. I need more. This needs to pace itself.
This has been the longest offseason ever. July was honestly 2 months combined. It felt that way.
It's a good point.
Since gone through our final Sunday without pro football. Sure, it's preseason.
No, we did have it. You had the Hall of Fame game that Stugotz is returning from now, and you had Mark Davis eating a chicken wing with 2 hands. Football got here.
Yeah, I mean, it was Jake Luton versus Jared Stidham. If that doesn't get you excited for the upcoming season, what will?
Mm-hmm.
That was so bad. The Hall of Fame game is a terrible sporting event. The week 0, by the way, is the warm-up. This game that we're talking about is at the end of a weekend that is very much a warm-up. If you look at the schedule, the headline here, Dan, is Nebraska against Northwestern. And, I mean, the rest of it, it's a whole lot of Florida State playing Duquesne, North Carolina playing Florida A&M. It's mostly games.
Game, though.
Yeah, no, these are all warm-up games until we get to the headliner. Although, it's not really a Hawaii game, because it kicks off at 10:30 p.m. Eastern.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't like it either.
Yeah.
If that's 4:30 p.m. local time, this needs to be at midnight kickoff.
They should only play at home.
Hawaii?
Yeah.
At
You know what?
midnight.
I love this take.
Right.
I love this take. Hawaii should play every game at home, and they should all kick off after midnight Eastern.
It's a treat to go to Hawaii. You're a college kid, college team. It should be a treat to go to Hawaii. Free trip, right? Play the Rainbows, get a W, and then make your way back home. That's a great trip. It is.
It's not. You got it a little bit wrong. Expect to get a W and get surprised half the time by 11-point dog, because half your
Hey, you win
players
by 5. I don't care.
Half of your players ran onto the field still wearing leis from the cookout.
You buried the headline when it came to the week 0 headliner, which is Nebraska at Northwestern. It is in Dublin, Ireland.
Wow. That is very exciting. I'll watch that.
Hopefully that means for an earlier start so we can get to football earlier.
No, it's a 12:30 kickoff, a little big noon Saturday on Fox.
Hawaii on the road doesn't feel the same. Hawaii, it feels wrong to watch
It's a
Hawaii,
different team, yeah.
Hawaii on the road. It needs to be in Hawaii. I think you put that on the poll, and I agree with Chris Cote. Does Hawaii have to play all of its games at home?
At midnight.
At midnight.
Yes.
Elizabeth Williamson writes for the New York Times, and I wanted to get some expertise here on this Alex Jones case. Many of you perhaps noticed the viral video last week from a courtroom that, Elizabeth, I thought that I was misinterpreting something, and thank you for joining us. The idea that all of that could play out in a courtroom and that Alex Jones's attorney could accidentally send over information to the other attorney that shows that Alex Jones perjured himself is a thing that I had never seen in any kind of trial, never mind a celebrity trial. So thank you for joining us, and tell me what happened there, first of all.
Sure. So what happened there was they were sending over materials. So the lawyer for Alex Jones, a guy named Andino Reynal, representing him, for somehow someone in his office sent over an enormous document dump, like several hundred gigabytes worth of material, over to the lawyers for the Sandy Hook families in Texas. And nobody quite knows how this happened, but contained within that was the contents of Alex Jones' cell phone, the entire contents, including hundreds, maybe thousands of text messages that he, to that point, had been saying didn't exist, that he didn't have text messages, that he never spoke about Sandy Hook by text. And it was kind of funny to me because I had, when I was writing my book, I had been contacting him a lot about Sandy Hook, and often by text message. And when he was saying in discovery for these trials that he didn't have any text messages that said Sandy Hook in them, I thought, oh no.
What level of incompetence is that? Have you seen something like that before?
I don't think many folks had. I mean, there were a couple of lawyers that I was sort of corresponding with during the trial who were helping, make sense of Texas law, et cetera. And they were absolutely stunned.
Take us through the history with this trial, because you have a level of expertise that is uncommon. What are the parts of this story that you believe are most interesting, historic, stimulating?
So, the thing is with these cases, first of all, he lost. These are a series. The reason that we had this trial in the first place is that there were a series of lawsuits filed by the families of 10 Sandy Hook victims. So 4 different lawsuits altogether. Late last year, Jones was defaulted in all of them. So they were defamation cases. So he was found liable for defamation in all 4 of them, because for nearly 4 years, he'd been stonewalling in the run-up to trial. He was refusing to submit to testimony. He wasn't sending staffers in who had been, called to testify. He was defying court orders to produce financial records and business documents. And so finally, At the end of last year, judges in 2 states, Texas and Connecticut, had had enough of this. And so they ruled him, liable by default. So these trials, there are 3 of them. Last week's trial was the first. And this is, in these trials, the juries are instructed solely to decide how much he has to pay the families in damages. So that's all they have to decide. He would like to make this a trial about free speech, but that ship has sailed. He lost his opportunity to talk about that in court. And this is just about how much he has to fork over to these families for defaming them for years after the 2012 shooting.
What's going to happen to Alex Jones?
That's hard to say. He's now declared bankruptcy again, so he's trying to protect his assets that way. He's trying to delay the remaining 2 trials. In Texas, they have some pretty strict caps on what plaintiffs can collect in damages. So even though, we had a verdict of nearly $50 million, probably all but about $5 million of that, those families will not see because of Texas law that caps punitive damages. But the biggest case of these 3 trials is brought by the families of 8 victims in Connecticut, where punitive damages aren't capped in that way. So that would be a really big hit to him, which is why he's declared bankruptcy, to try and protect his assets. This will probably wind on for years. But in the meantime, there's a moral point, of course, being made about the spread of disinformation and false narratives that really harm vulnerable people like this. But the broader point is, of course, that Alex Jones has had his fingerprints on all the big disinformation campaigns of the past decade since the Sandy Hook shooting. He's called most mass shootings false flags. He's spread coronavirus myths. He had a role in Charlottesville, the Great Replacement Theory, Pizzagate, and of course, Stop the Steal and the attack on the Capitol on January 6, 2021. So bringing him down would be striking at least a symbolic blow against online disinformation.
What have you learned in the coverage of all of this over the years about disinformation, about the power that this man accrued?
Just looking at the damage done to the Sandy Hook families by the lies that he has spread about the shooting and about them personally. It was a really dark turn to name individual family members on his show because he's got tens of millions of listeners. And so if even a tiny percentage of these people believes this and decides to take action, he was saying that these families were complicit in a government plot to confiscate Americans' firearms. And so his listeners were like, wow, these people sound like they did it for the money, or, they were party with the government in trying to take our guns. And so people were, stalking them online. They were abusing them. They were showing up at their houses, looking in their windows, digging through their trash and confronting them on the street and threatening their lives. And this went on for years. So, if anything, I got a really clear window onto the human impact of, what we've seen, this sort of rise of disinformation in the culture and online.
How long have you been covering Alex Jones?
So I started covering this in mid-2018 when the families filed their lawsuits in, like I said, in Texas and Connecticut. Soon after, I decided that I wanted to write a book about this because initially I thought this would be a signal test of free speech. And, does the First Amendment protect somebody who spreads these kinds of damaging falsehoods? But then it sort of grew into a broader story about disinformation because I talked with Lenny Posner, who is the father of Noah Posner, the youngest Sandy Hook victim. He has a tech background. He knows how social media algorithms spread this material. And he was basically saying, look, this is a foundational story in how misinformation and false narratives have spread. And he was really right. And so the book that I wrote really had a lot to do with, what he convinced me of and what I could see sort of play out over the intervening years, sort of culminating with January 6th and the attack on the Capitol.
The reason I asked the question on how long you've been covering this is because I would like for you, with that level of expertise that goes into authoring and vetting a book on this kind of subject matter, to explain to me how he got tens of millions of followers, the psychology of it. How did that work?
Yeah, that was really interesting. So he was in the aftermath of Sandy Hook, he kind of started to break more into the mainstream in that he was a vociferous, defender of the Second Amendment. So he went on CNN, Piers Morgan had him on, he was on Howard Stern. He kind of crossed over into sort of mainstream media interviews. But it was really his connection with former President Trump that put him into, dragged him from the fringes into kind of the center of Republican Party politics. And so in the years from Sandy Hook in 2012 to 2015, when he had Trump on InfoWars at the end of 2015, his audience more than doubled, and people became much more ideologically driven. And that was when, you started to see some real activity, around, not only around Sandy Hook, but, kind of against the so-called targets of a lot of his conspiracy theories.
Could you have seen in 2018 even something that would be at the center of what happened January 6th? Would it have been possible to you, even as things accelerated in 2016, to imagine that as some sort of mastermind leader?
No, because when I first started writing about the book, or, writing the book, I really felt like this is a very interesting phenomenon. We could see, disinformation proliferating online. You had the whole Russian interference in the campaign in 2016. So there was a lot to talk about, but I never really thought that it would move from, targeting vulnerable individuals to really kind of chipping away at the foundation of our democracy, because you had a conspiracy-minded president who was willing to, appeal to these people who have always been out there, but they'd always been sort of shunned by most of society, including our political candidates. But, what happened with Alex Jones was he tapped into a constituency that Trump then used to help put him over the top in a really crowded Republican primary field. He was willing to speak to those people's paranoia and fears with sort of nativist language. And, he fueled their kind of paranoia and made it feel like, this was a guy who speaks for us and speaks to us. And that was important.
Have you seen the fear on Alex Jones?
You mean from last week? I definitely saw it last week. That was unbelievable in the courtroom. It was really an accident of scheduling that Scarlett Lewis, who is one of the two plaintiffs, the mother of Jesse Lewis, who's the 6-year-old who was killed at Sandy Hook, that she was coming in to testify. Well, no, she was in to testify in the morning. Then there was a lunch break. And because she hadn't finished, she was going to testify some more in the afternoon. What he was banking on was that he'd blow off the trial until after lunch. He would turn up in time for his testimony, and he would never have to sort of face off with the parents. He was a no-show for a big chunk of this trial. And when he showed up and she hadn't finished testifying, for the remaining 90 minutes of her testimony, she directed all her comments directly at him. It was like, Alex, I want you to pay attention to me. He was squirming. He was trying not to look at her. He was sweating. He was fidgeting in his seat. And she just kept fixing him in her gaze, and she would not let him look away. And she was just like, why? Why did you do this? I don't understand. This isn't true. Is this for money? And of course, that is the answer. So I have never seen him like that. But I have to say, as bad as that was for him, the revelation of those text messages that he didn't know anyone had, that was even worse. He was literally sweating through his shirt.
Well, that scene, beyond flabbergasting, people who might not have been paying attention to that trial, who just like courtroom drama, you might not even know who Alex Jones is or care about anything. That scene somehow arrives in a place that spreads like news does these days, to cause him a shame that was unfathomable, and his attorney as well. Like, I don't know how the two of them didn't just sink into the earth, because now you're perjuring yourself on top of everything else in a way that's easily proven.
Yeah, and just the day before. So, there was another moment where the lawyers for the family produced clips of his show from the day before where he was maligning the judge and the jury. He was calling the jury stupid. He was saying they were extremely blue-collar people who'd been handpicked by his political enemies because they needed people who were too dumb to assess the charges against him. It was just unbelievable. And to play that in the courtroom while he sat there was, that was just incredible. And for him, you know, he's used to sort of dominating the space where he is, right? You know, his show, he's on blast and no one else gets a word in edgewise. And so to have him sit there and be sort of confronted with facts, this is a guy who's not accustomed to facts, and being in a courtroom like that, it was something unreal.
The psychology of Alex Jones, is it as simple as money? The whole thing, is it as simple as money?
I think that probably oversimplifies it a bit. You know, he is a conspiracy-minded person. He started out, you know, in Austin in the late 90s. He was sort of a feature of the funky culture in Austin. He was part of, you know, what makes Austin, you know, kind of welcome its weirdos. And he was more innocuous then, you know. I mean, saying the moon landing was faked or something like that is a far cry from what he was doing in the case of Sandy Hook. But he did get darker and darker. And he has always had ties to sort of like, you know, Western extremists. Stuart Rhodes is an old friend of his, the founder of the Oath Keepers, who was, you know, so heavily involved in January 6th. He went out to Waco and he rebuilt the Branch Davidian Church after the FBI siege there. So he's always kind of tapped into that stream of extremism, but he was never, you know, as malevolent a force as he began to be, especially with Sandy Hook, where you're naming grieving parents and saying they're liars.
Elizabeth, thank you for being on with us. Thank you for all the work you've done on this story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Jalen Rose is trying to take away our ability to say that things are the Mount Rushmore of something. He's saying that those presidents and those faces on that mountain shouldn't be allowed to be the symbols for greatness. And while he's not wrong, he's so wrong. You will not take this away from me, Jalen Rose.
What mountain will we use?
It's very hard to do after that. Where if we move off of Mount Rushmore for
Mount Olympus,
I need 4 though. You know how we argue about these things. We just chased down Mike James in Europe because he said Steph Curry's not top 5. We can only do this in 4s or 5. The mountain can't have 1 face on it. It's got to have 4 faces on it. And how many other mountains are there with 4 faces?
The Mount Rushmore is not the designation we need to be worried about, though. There has been a proliferation of the use of the word GOAT, and it has simply gone too far. The number of times that you see a highlight of somebody on social media, goated, goat this, goat that. They can't all be goats. They can't,
That's right.
The phrase is greatest of all time.
Right.
Not everything that you see. I see the word goat on a daily. I should see the word goat once a year, once a month.
Right.
If we're being liberal with the worst,
It should be
the use of
special.
goat.
It should be special.
Absolutely.
Should be Michael Jordan.
No, Diana Taurasi, Lewis Hamilton.
Brady.
Goats.
Too many though. How many?
Maybe one of each sport.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes for too many goats.
Well,
I saw Sue Bird goat stuff over the weekend.
Yeah, she's in the GOAT conversation.
totally
In the
fair shout.
conversation.
Wait,
Yeah.
Totally
but
fair
it's not
shout.
goats. It's goat.
She's in the GOAT conversation.
Still too many goats.
I think
though.
people would choose Taurasi over Sue Bird still, but it is definitely Sue Bird's.
But he's not just doing it with sports. He's doing it all over the place. It's a proliferation. It's been a goat outbreak. It's not good. It's too many. It's prisoner of the moment
What's
stuff.
wrong with a lot of goats?
Do you have goats outside of sports? Like, what do we use outside of
Oh
sports?
yeah, anytime I see like a live performance that Lizzo does, a goat. Great, it's like Lizzo. I'm sorry, Lizzo's fantastic. She can't be the goat. She can't be the goat. It's too much. We've gone too far with Lizzo.
I'm
it's
with
too far.
Winningham on this. We've gone too far. It needs to
I feel
be.
like Lizzo's in the GOAT conversation though, Whitty.
Goat of what?
Who's Lizzo?
Of performers of the last 5 years, perhaps. But of all time, we're saying that of all musicians in the history of musicians, that Lizzo is one of the greatest of all time.
Hold on, because if we're saying there's different GOATs for each sport, then there's different GOATs for each musical category. So I think she'd be the GOAT.
But he's saying there are too many goats.
Category. What's her musical category?
Do you not listen to Lizzo?
I do listen to Lizzo, but I would classify it in a category that I would put other goats ahead of her.
I didn't say she was the GOAT. I said she's in the GOAT.
You think she's in the GOAT conversation? What has she had? 3 album cycles?
At the moment, I feel like she's extremely popular, and she's
had hits.
She's a trendsetter and pioneer.
She's no Anita Baker.
There you go.
The problem is that Jessica.
Someone I've heard of.
The problem is that Jessica is okay. She's got a more liberal. She's willing to give more goats out because you can't.
I love goats,
but you can't be Lizzo and Beyonce. You got to choose. Like you got to choose.
I think Beyonce's unequivocally.
But but this is why you're diluting it by giving it to everybody.
I'm just saying she's in the GOAT conversation.
Is Janet Jackson in the GOAT conversation?
I mean, you could make the argument that she is the GOAT also.
But who is the GOAT?
And how big is the GOAT conversation? How many people we let into the conversation?
Having a lot of goats?
Is Whitney in that conversation?
Because it stands for greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Not one of the
greatest of all time. Still GOAT.
It's first ballot Hall of Famer. You can't be. We need to have first ballot Hall of Fame GOAT, and then other GOATs.
I think even first ballot Hall of Famer is an overused expression. Yeah. We say that all the time. Not everyone deserves to get in on the first ballot.
But this is actually escalated. You know what? I take back. I rescind what I just said. First ballot Hall of Famer is well beneath GOAT. The
GOAT's the greatest, Dan.
That is correct.
Right,
There can't be too many GOATs. If it's the greatest, you can't.
There's many first ballot Hall of Famers.
You're only allowed 1 per category.
So in basketball, we know who it is, right?
LeBron.
Stop it. Football, we know who it is.
Yep. But I guarantee if Aaron Rodgers throws 170-yard pass this fall, there's going to be a flurry of GOAT tweets in my timeline.
But then Randy Moss can't be a GOAT, right?
He's not the GOAT.
Jerry Rice
different position though, Dan.
Jerry
Hold on.
Rice.
He's the GOAT of wide receiver. Right, Jerry Rice.
But there's no
Hold on.
conversation to be had. It's Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
Okay,
We could also have a GOAT of the 2000s, GOAT of the 20s.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, that's fun. I like that.
All time.
decade
The last
GOATs.
2 words
Yeah.
are all time.
You guys are perpetuating this GOAT culture.
Greatest.
Too many GOATs.
Goad with a D at the end. Greatest of all decades.
We have to narrow this down.
We know hockey. I mean,
And this is why Jalen Rose can't take away the 4 from me. It's hard enough to make it 1. It's hard enough. I need more room.
well, he's saying you can't use the term mount. You can't use the mountain. That's what he's saying.
As a symbol for excellence.
Well, now we have the Mount Gregmore too, right? Isn't that 5?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mount Gregmore is 5.
We don't have.
There's a lane for Mount Gregmore now.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
Gregmore.
yeah. He's so excited.
So
Think he knows? I mean,
Would Jalen Rose put forward 4 new presidents that we should create a new Mount Rushmore with, or is he just objecting to the ones that currently are there?
I feel like none of them are very good.
Wow, we can't get to 4 presidents?
Maybe like 2
Could
or
we?
3.
Could we? Could we?
But then
right
there's
now?
the issue of Mount Rushmore being on like indigenous land, and it's just like a whole trash thing to begin with.
Another point for Mount Gregmore.
yeah. It's safe. Yeah.
Where is Mount Gregmore?
It's wherever you want it to be.
Mhm.
I want
In his garage.
I want you guys to explore with me a story that I've been waiting to make an appearance, and finally, Mike, it is here. For some reason, over the last few weeks, reasons that are not explainable to me or anyone else, Jack Palance, the late Jack Palance, has sort of been haunting this show. And for years now, Mike Ryan has delighted in telling people arbitrarily, very little link to anything. Hey, did you know that Jack Palance played Castro one time in a movie?
GOAT.
Castro?
Palance.
Okay.
Careful.
Ill-timed.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some times that you don't.
Out of your mouth. Why don't you just listen to the show instead of
Palance is a GOAT.
instead
man.
of lining up
Can I show you what the workflow was?
your line? Well, no. We need to go back for a second and show
Let Mike
everybody.
show you.
And let us show you what ended up with Stugotz on a wildly popular show in Miami, deciding that his timing would be perfect on calling Castro the GOAT, as Mike tried to wave him off it because he knew where we were headed, and his timing was slow from Hall of Fame weekend. Stugotz, you have just told the people of Miami that you think Fidel Castro is the GOAT. Would you like to clean that up any?
I would. Jack Palance is the GOAT of actors for me. That's supporting actors, really. Specialty roles, if you know what I'm saying.
So
Yes.
thank you.
Yes. Right.
Thank you for clarifying.
For correcting
Categories.
Thank you for allowing me to. I
GOAT
appreciate it.
specialty role.
Lots of categories in the GOAT
Me.
conversation.
Sam Elliott also in that conversation. I mean, yes.
Jack Palance has been haunting the show here for a few weeks, and now we have our story to link up with the Scarface story that we love to tell, which is that none of the people in Scarface were Latino. It was all Al Israel and F. Murray Abraham and
it was all Jewish people
and Logia. It's not. And so now John Leguizamo, it was not Frank Lopez.
I gave you a Vera.
His name was not Frank Lopez. It was Logia. And Scarface was just riddled. Al Pacino's offensive accent is the eternal role for Pacino. Wildly offensive, but we're good with it. Like we're allowing it. Scarface was great. We're not going to chase you down. But Leguizamo, who's saying
Leguizamo, some would say
fine.
I've got a funny Leguizamo story. He's doing some sort of cooking show in Miami, and his people reached out because they're cooking. You reach out to me, and I was going to go over there, and they're like, it'll take 5 or 6 hours. And I'm like, sure, no problem. He should come by the studio for an hour. And they said, well, he's very busy.
Oh. Funny how that works.
And so I'm like, okay, you could go ahead and I won't be on your cooking show. Like
5 to 6 hours.
You need 5 or 6 of my hours, but 50 minutes of yours is too hard. But Leguizamo's mad because the role of Castro has now gone to James Franco. And Leguizamo wanted that role.
Yeah. Well, also James Franco was kind of canceled, so it was surprising to see him get a role of any sort, let alone one that
that's not the part that Leguizamo is objecting to. He's objecting to he's not Latin.
Yeah, there is that with James Franco. However, he does look like Fidel Castro. This taps into like the Scarlett Johansson debate. Like we understand that you should look for, like, if you have a role that calls for someone in a wheelchair, why go after the top of the line marquee actors that aren't wheelchair bound? Why don't you actually audition some wheelchair actors and give them a chance because they can play these roles? But there's also the question, but that's not. Like, this is part of the art of acting, me being able to portray this convincingly in some of the greatest acting roles of all time. Some of the roles that have been showered with prizes and critical acclaim was somebody going well beyond their means to portray this. So at what point does it stop being acting?
Well, I think the argument is because those people have historically never been given roles in Hollywood. So the preference would be to have casting be inclusive of people who are.
I'm not coming out against inclusive acting. I'm also like just saying that there are people out there that tell like, okay, but this is also me giving a performance. This is me tapping into some form of acting. It's not necessarily insulting to some folks. I say if a white person wants Fidel Castro, they can have it. Yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm good. It doesn't have to go to a. If it doesn't have to go to a Cuban, it's Luis Guzman, it's Leguizamo, and it's George Lopez. We are underrepresented in Hollywood. That's how Scarface happened. Yeah.
There is another guy.
There is. Who's the other guy?
Who's the other guy?
He always plays that one guy. You know what I mean?
It's getting better now. People have figured out that it's not just Luis Guzman, Leguizamo.
Wasn't Mark Margolis in Scarface? The guy from Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Are you talking about Danny Trejo?
Yes, but no.
It's a bit of a typecast.
Are you bothered by the James Franco casting of Fidel Castro?
Well, if I'm not bothered by Scarface, do you think that these things are going to bother me? Because
you can't be bothered.
Because Scarface was pretty egregious here, and in the portrayal of Latin people, and I was like, okay, yeah. Pacino wants to do it. All right.
I mean, do we have to hire the best person? This is so weird. Like arguing for.
It should be the best person.
Who should? Yeah, but who's most like Castro is just like a weird thing for me to ask myself. I really wish that this was with a different historical figure.
I don't think that we spent nearly enough time on the mechanics of a hungover Stugotz not even realizing he had just called Fidel Castro the GOAT. Like, I don't think we can spend enough time there. When you ask, can someone act the role as well as someone who is in the role? That could not have been acted better. Where because he got in with a flurry because he wanted to say the
talking goats.
The GOAT so bad he wanted to identify someone as the GOAT, and really in this market, in the city that we're presently sitting in the middle of, I don't know that you could have chosen a worse time to say that in the history of this show.
It's what I do.
How is that possible? He didn't even hear the Fidel Castro. The GOAT got from wherever it was in the brain lobe. It was there and then didn't process
it was coming out, Dan.
Or retain that Fidel Castro was coming out of my mouth next, or didn't absorb that Mike Ryan was waving him off.
I wish I had been looking at Mike. I mean,
if someone ran into the street waving you off the way Mike Ryan was, you would immediately hit the brakes on your car and look all around thinking that there was an incoming missile or something that was about to land that you were to avoid. How did you blow the stop sign of Mike Ryan trying to get you to stop because he knew the story I was talking about?
Hall of Fame weekend.
How could you not hear the Fidel Castro part? Like, you had... the workflow was you had a good killer line that you should have just delivered on your own, but you ran it by me, which was fine.
Right.
And then as soon as like the time started stretching out a little bit and Dane invoked Fidel Castro,
that's
unfortunate. That was a really wrong time.
No Dan was taking it there.
The thing that I'm asking you though is not, was it a really wrong time? Was it the single worst time in all of our time at microphones for him to declare someone the greatest? Is what else? I mean, I could have said Hitler, but I'm talking about in our market. In our market, if I say Fidel Castro, the thing that you cannot say afterward is he was the greatest.
Yeah. I said it. I mean, we cleaned it up, though, I feel like.
Timing has to be slightly better than that, although it's perfect the way that it played out because I don't believe that you arrive at comedy like that scripted.
So
welcome.
So James Franco's a pariah now. Hasn't been getting the roles that he has. He's like direct to VOD stuff and he's kind of gone into hiding. And the filmmaker said that he had to actually find James Franco and convince him to do this. If you're James Franco, you're like, yeah, this is the role. This is the role for me.
This is
to start the comeback. The comeback starts with Castro. I was born to play this role.
I know how I'll get him to like me more. And then, given what he's accused of, I do love Leguizamo coming in and being like, he's not Latin. That's not the most problematic part of this.
Yeah. We'll just keep pulling back layers though. And someone just goes like, you're Puerto Rican. You should go to a Cuban.
It's true though. Is Leguizamo qualified for this job?
Yeah. What? Wait, for telling James Franco he can't be Castro or for playing Fidel Castro?
Well, Franco was Spanish. Franco.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm confused
This
now.
is very confusing. And dangerous.
I thought you meant the cooking show. 5 to 6 hours. I mean, what the fuck is he making in there?
I was thinking the same thing.
Jesus
Making
Christ.
a shepherd's pie?
Right? The bridge to the brown-eyed woman was...
Hey, people, tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
Funniest thing from the sports weekend is brought to you by our friends at CBD-MD. It's kind of a funny weekend in sports. Tony, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
Guys, we had UFC 2 Vegas
59 over the weekend. 10 fights, 10 finishes. It was a great card. Jamal Hill beats Thiago Santos in the main event. And all while that's happening, referee Herb Dean is doing cameos in the crowd while people are getting choked out. It's just very Stugotz move. He's got his phone. He's like, hey, happy birthday, Bill. And he kind of like swivels around and stuff. Good stuff.
Suffered an L on that card.
Which one?
The Luque? The Luque fight?
Oh, hands of steel, baby.
Dude,
Jeff Neal.
I can't believe he got knocked out. That knockout may actually make me have to start doing cameos.
Really?
Just in time for
it
fantasy
cost you
football.
that much?
Just in time for fantasy football season.
Well, how's your super follower thing going?
The super follower thing is fine if I could find out how to get my goddamn money out.
Oh, it's one of those? I mean,
it's just like, yeah, it's a little confusing. I've done everything, but I'll get to it.
Don't you enter you enter your bank information, don't you?
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Right.
Let me just say this. Facebook pays quickly.
Have you tried to get a payment from Twitter yet?
I'm looking at it. I have everything filled out. So
Because Cameo's
maybe
easy.
there's like a 90-day waiting period.
Cameo, you hit like pay me and it pays you in 24 hours. That's it. Right to your account.
So they pay you quicker than you actually turn these things around?
Yes.
That's unjust.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Whitty, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
There was an Italian decathlete who finished last because his penis kept popping out of his shorts.
What?
Must have been 2-inch inseams.
Just kept popping out. He's trying to continue on, but finished a distant last. Because this was not a single time occurrence.
You got to make an audible there, right? In the race, you got to kind of figure out where you're going and how you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make some adjustments.
Yeah, make
big
it
enough to flop out. It's big enough to tuck.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did he finish last, though? I mean,
a distant last.
Right.
Well, but in the grand scheme of things.
Was he a winner?
Maybe.
No, that's embarrassing.
Just
like.
Well, is it though?
I mean, it's not embarrassing.
I mean, for me, it would be embarrassing. Yes.
Tucking up waistband, however you want to do it. Plenty of places to tuck.
No, but the short length does not give you enough places to tuck, I don't think.
If you have the waistband and you got the track shirt over it.
Yep.
Boom.
What are you wearing that's not a waistband?
So you angle it up and tuck it there is what you're saying?
Yeah.
You would know, Tom.
Tuck it.
Yep.
Tuck it and run.
Smitty?
There's no, I'm sorry, there's just no way penis popping out of your, like that's not attractive in
it's
any
good
way.
For the brand.
No, it's not. It's not good for the brand. It's not good. There's pictures and video of you trying to adjust your penis popping out of your shorts. Like there's just no way that's good for you.
Needs a tactical cup.
It's up.
But it could be good for you, is what I'm saying.
Trust me, it's good for the brand.
Hate cups.
That guy's not going on being like, hey, sorry, guys. Everybody's like, yo, we saw.
Right, winner.
You're like, there you go.
Right.
I was very anti-cup when I was playing football.
I hated cups.
Super anti-cup.
Yeah.
A lot of players just go without it. And then the first tackle that I made, I landed right on the back of someone's heel, right on the balls. I was out for like half a quarter.
They've upgraded the cups, though, right? Like they've had to since we were kids.
Have they?
The cups were like, they were weird. You get some like chafing going. It was like they would rub up against both sides. They were uncomfortable.
Cups. And if you get hit in the cup, it still hurts very much.
You don't think there's been like an upgrade to cups technology?
I mean, it's been quite a minute since I've been out of the cup shopping game. You may be right.
I'm looking on the internet here. The design still looks roughly the same.
Kind of big on the top and then gets skinnier on the bottom. But like
for me, the discomfort was never
turn it around.
For me, the cup itself was never really the problem. It was the slides. The slides were always so big and bulky, and they weren't able to maintain. Like it's poor design.
When I first started playing Little League, I'm sure they have the traditional jock strap. I never got that whatsoever. Now they have compression
you just put
shorts.
The cup on?
Now they have compression shorts where it just slides right into it.
Yeah, the cup needs a home.
Yeah, but
you're
the
saying
jock
it's
strap,
now in the compression shorts.
I hated the jock strap because it was assless.
Right.
It made no
had the strings on your ass.
Just give me an ass on this jock strap. Why do we have to make this assless? Is this a budgetary concern?
So you're saying compression shorts now have
slots for all sorts
slot
of
for a
pads.
cup.
Yeah.
But Woody is right. The old cups, it was one size, but you would get like a different size cup. It was always like jostling around inside. It was
back when
never
I first,
a comfy fit.
When I was playing football, you had to get waist pads and you had to
pads, knee
tie
pads.
everything with belts and an additional jock strap. Now You just have these compression shorts that have little slots for you to put in each individual pad. Way easier nowadays.
All right.
But I do miss the hip pad aesthetic of the early 90s with that little half shirt.
Tailbone right in the back. You have the one sticking out.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Who wore the half shirt the best?
Ray Lewis.
You're right. The game's over. You ended it that quickly.
Lawrence Taylor wore the half shirt?
He did occasionally.
Like he did pretty well.
Yeah.
Like he did
Yeah.
You got to be a
well.
linebacker.
See,
Mike, you've been waiting for that question your entire life. Jesus.
College football. This was a domain. The NFL had stricter uniform rules. College football, you could get away with a lot.
Mike Rozier, pretty good. Half shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you get the half shirt with the baggy mesh.
Pads hanging out a little bit. Yeah.
You look like a disaster by today's standards, but back then it had a vibe to it.
It did.
Little Colorado Buffs half shirt. My God, pal.
Who was the running back from Colorado? You know who I'm talking. Oh, no.
Rashawn Salam?
No, Westbrook.
Oh,
Half
the wide
shirt.
receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Half shirt.
Half shirt.
Oh, yeah.
And they also had Charles Johnson. Was he a half shirt? Was Cordell a half shirt guy?
I don't remember.
He belongs in the half shirt.
He should have been if he wasn't.
Category.
Yeah.
Why am I thinking UT had some half
For the
shirts
half
going?
shirt?
Yeah.
Well, did Ricky wear a half shirt?
More on this to come.
Okay.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson wore a half shirt.
Michael Irvin did.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Basically, any Nittany Lion rocked a good half shirt.
I'm seeing no half shirt on Cordell Stewart. He wore a
Short jersey, though.
Yeah.
Short jersey.
Slash. Look up Westbrook. Colorado wide receiver.
What was his first name?
I have no idea.
Michael
Westbrook. Just
Michael?
look it up.
Yeah.
Michael Westbrook.
How about Calvin Johnson? He didn't go half shirt. I
No,
don't think.
half shirts fell out of
Megatron.
favor. Nobody
Yeah.
wears half shirts anymore. Miami needs to do.
You're telling me the half shirt is dead?
UM Cristobal needs to bring back like a throwback weekend where they wear the present uniform set, but it's like a mesh jersey, and they're allowed to cut it to half. That'd be great. See a bunch of belly buttons out there.
You check out Westbrook, Woody?
No half shirt on Westbrook.
What about Charles Johnson?
What?
I'm on it.
And then Rashawn Salam. There was a Colorado Buffalo with a half shirt.
There was. Just can't remember who. Smetty, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
I guess I'll stay on the penis theme. Lewis Hamilton, revelation in Vanity Fair that he does not have a penis ring after implying strongly that he did at the Miami Grand Prix. Formula One fans have been speculating for months. He finally confirmed that he was just taking the piss.
What does that mean? Taking the piss.
That he's just like I'm having a laugh, having a
Taking
joke.
the piss.
Are you guys going to buy the Frank Ocean cock ring?
Why would I buy that?
Because its prices ranging from like $310 all the way up to $25,000. Frank Ocean is selling penis rings.
I probably won't.
What's the 25K look like?
Stand by.
Also,
I need to know the difference. It's a great question.
That's a
Tony.
penis. That's a penis. And I'm looking at it. Right there. Boom. The Homer Triple XL H bone ring.
Triple XL?
Yeah. $25,570. Diamond and gold ring meant to be worn.
Diamond and gold?
Yep. Meant to be worn on the penis.
But you were asking us, like,
You can also have like little Lucky Charms at the end of it.
But why would we purchase one? You're asking, like, hey, it's like a Cabbage Patch
I
Kid.
was doing a content thing where I was just like, hey, you guys got to do this when there's just
No. I
to get the story out there.
No, I know that. Okay, good. Thanks for explaining. Are you going to get one?
I can't afford it right now. If I had the crypto
gambling
crash,
again.
Exactly.
the big crypto crash of 2022.
And Twitter has his money.
Can confirm that Charles Johnson wore a half shirt.
Well,
Yes,
wow.
I knew it.
Is that our guy?
Yeah, third time's a charm.
Mike, what was your funniest thing from the sports weekend?
So I wasn't really following the Tony Boselli Canton Hall of Fame Stugotz appearance thing later into the week after I left for a holiday. So I just assumed, like all Stugotz things, it would have died on the vine. You would have never actually done the thing and gone to Canton, but you actually had the follow through. And I learned this because I saw a still from the NFL Network of Tony Boselli's Hall of Fame speech. And I saw Shad Khan, I saw Tony Khan, and I saw you right next to Tony Khan, and that was how I discovered you were actually there, and it brought a big smile on my face.
Well, thank you. Too much content?
Too much blurry content.
Yeah, well.
I loved it. I loved all the selfies of you at probably the least flattering angle possible, taking
they look
upward
great, though.
selfies
You know
with
what? I
people
look
taller
fat.
than you.
Yeah, it was terrible.
No, just
talk to you about the angles that you're settling on for your
but
selfies.
the people were all tall and behind you.
I was Mike.
right?
I was at the Hall of Fame by myself. I wasn't, but you're right. Like that's why you hold the camera up, right?
It's a byproduct of you not knowing how to. Maybe it's
Right.
because your sausage fingers. You can't take the one-handed selfie.
Well, Yeah. it's
because you
also
take like the grandparent selfie with two hands.
If you did it from an angle, it would just be your face with Tim Brown's chest.
Right.
And
So
also
you
a
did-
master's
you did
hat
the
that's been
best.
worn every day for 6 months.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not taking it
That
off.
master's hat says 2020.
It has some charm. I mean, it does. Yeah.
Crazy. It looks
I'm gonna
more
wear
worn
it
than
until 2023. I am.
It looks
Till the
more
next
worn
one.
than an
It's
87
terrible.
master's
I know,
hat.
It's so bad.
It's just
I gotta find the
crazy.
new hat.
Why is it so discolored?
Sweat.
I guess I didn't want the
Smoke.
answer.
But Stu, you have other hats.
It
I would
do.
presume.
It
He's
is,
got the
But I
dead
like
hats.
this hat.
It's
This hat
now the
fits
color.
and fits well.
It's now the color of a cigarette filter.
It is. Yeah.
Little brown.
Uh-huh.
Stu, I did enjoy your content from Camden.
Thank you. Franco Harris, you see that?
You did a good job, yeah.
Thank you.
It was great.
Yeah. Parade content.
The parade content was a
Parade
little
video.
grainy.
I can't get over that.
You definitely took it
It
with
was
a
early,
toaster.
Tony.
I was drinking around the world at Epcot, and I was like, man, am I really fucked up, or is this just video shit? I ended up being really fucked up.
I thought it was both. Was the answer? I thought it was my Wi-Fi. And
it's just
I
You
got
guys
right
ever-
up next to the modem.
You guys
just
are
me,
you're
Mike.
texting someone and they send you a video and it's tiny on your iPhone. That's what
I hate
it looked
that.
like.
Why
It
does
was one
that?
of
Why
those
do they do that?
Tiny
Bad cell
videos.
service.
Green
Bad cell
text line.
service or memory or green text. But it's Stugotz, I would presume you were sending green text to presumably Juju because you had bad service.
I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest.
Understood.
I was
You did a
told
great job.
I was told to use WhatsApp because it's got better camera.
yeah.
And I
No, it's not
tried
about better
it. I
camera.
didn't
It's
know how
about
to
better
use it.
transmission of data.
Yeah.
Transmission of
Hildy
data.
was
yeah.
telling me to use it. I had no idea how to use it. I tried to use it. I ended up not using it. I mean,
Americans very myopic about WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the go-to communication for, I would say, 90% of countries in the world.
Yeah, I use
Yeah.
it now every time I have to correspond with a UK-based Formula One person.
Yep.
Which is turns
It's
out
all
to
they
be
use.
often now.
Because we're the only country that is this iPhone saturated. And so in a world in which iPhones and Androids are meant to talk to each other, WhatsApp is the preferred medium.
And you can text over Wi-Fi. So if you're texting internationally over Wi-Fi, it's free.
Older people call it "What's up" though, which always gets me confused.
Oh,
Hispanic people call it WhatsApp.
Yeah, dímelo por WhatsApp.
my funniest thing is former Patriot Rich Ornberger admitting to causing a car accident because he did not want to be late to a practice. He was trying to make the Patriots, didn't want to piss off Bill Belichick. Caused the car accident. That's how terrified he was of Bill Belichick. What's that? So I want to tell you guys a story about the Hall of Fame and what happens on Friday night. Now, I'm not 100% certain as to what happened with Charles Woodson on Friday night, but there is something that takes place that's not televised that I had no idea existed, and I talked about it during weekend observations. It's quite simply the greatest thing I've ever seen. So they have this Hall of Fame gauntlet. And whatever Hall of Famers show up that year, one of the other Hall of Famers comes on the stage. They get their gold jackets before their actual enshrinement. And it was really cool to see this part of it because I had no idea this part existed. So Dan Fouts was the MC of the Hall of Fame. Rich Eisen was emceeing the entire event, but he called up Dan Fouts to his stage, and Dan Fouts was in charge of calling all the Hall of Famers up. And when he got to Charles Woodson, he called him Rod Woodson.
Oh.
Woodson never came up. And they couldn't find Woodson. Now, just to finish the story on the gauntlet, what it is all the Hall of Famers line up in their gold jackets, and then the new Hall of Famers come out to get their gold jackets, and they have to walk through the gauntlet to get to the stage, and they're shaking all the hands, and and they're hugging. It's a really moving moment. It's a cool moment because you have all these Hall of Famers kind of forming a tunnel, and the new Hall of Famers have to walk through it, and, you know, they get their pats on the back, their hugs, and they go up there and they get their yellow jacket from Roger Goodell. So it's a very cool moment. But Dan Fauci, whose offense was way ahead of its time, Air Coryell, they had some great wide receivers, John Jefferson, James Lofton, I believe, Wes Chandler, Chuck Muncie was the running back. It was a great time. It was a great offense, and Dan Fauci was the quarterback of that offense. So he gets to Woodson. He calls him Rod Woodson. Woodson, and then he corrects himself and apologizes, but Charles Woodson never comes out.
Out of spite?
Well, that's what everyone was wondering. Was he pissed at Dan Fouts, who was a San Diego Charger, Raiders, Chargers, same division? Fouts did not do it on purpose. He misspoke. He apologized, and Charles Woodson did not come out. Now, I might be breaking news here because I am telling you right now that Charles Woodson appeared to be very pissed off about it. And I'm wondering, should Charles Woodson be pissed off about that? It's an honest mistake by Dan Fouts. It's the only name he got wrong.
Are you stirring shit up right now, Stugotz?
I'm telling you right now, he's the only Hall of Famer that did not come out.
There are some secrets that are meant to stay behind the curtain.
I'm not Mike.
This is why you're
Mike. There were 10,000. No, there were 10,000 people watching.
You're not allowed to do that. They're just look. You've found yourself in a lot of rooms that you probably shouldn't be in. You don't.
No,
you
can
don't
buy tickets to this
you
room.
You don't share industry secrets. It's bad form out of you.
What's the secret here?
That Charles Woodson was actually pissed.
But 10,000 people know it. If 10,000 people know something, is it a secret?
I can't believe you're whipping out your phone backstage too. It's just a bad look. You weren't doing that at Tahoe. You weren't. This is bad. Bad look all around for you.
Why is it a bad look? It's a great look.
You can't be that guy. You got to act like you belong.
I did, Mike. I found myself in the yellow jacket room.
But he is a media member, Mike. Like, he's got a, journalistic credibility would be to report on what he saw and not have any deference to people that he might be protecting.
It was 10,000 other people who saw it.
Was this televised?
No. But 10,000 people saw it.
Nah, if it's not televised and it doesn't actually happen, you could avoid it.
Really?
You're airing dirty.
I should be talking about this?
I'm with Stugotz on this. I want to know what's going on backstage. Like, you went to Canton and you're here to report back what you saw, and I think this is fairly scandalous.
Surely that happens to Charles occasionally, right? They're both Hall of Famers, both great players. They share the same surname.
Did Woodson get in last year? I think it's maybe he's upset. This is his first time, the Gauntlet, and Dan Fouts can't get it right. But I'm telling you, Charles Woodson, because they came back to Woodson after he didn't come back. He was not the last guy. And Dan's like, where's Charles? Is Charles coming out? Should I introduce him again? It was clunky. It was awkward. It was weird, is what I'm telling you.
Stu, can we change the Gauntlet? Who gave it the Gauntlet name? Gauntlet sounds bad.
I have no idea.
It's terrifying. It sounds like something that would be in MTV's Hit the Challenge.
It should be happier for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it should be happier.
Yeah, Gauntlet implies like you're like
it's like strenuous,
overcoming something to go through it.
I thought it was gonna be like a physical thing where like everyone like kind of like tries to punch the kidneys of the guy who's running through
That's what it feels like.
You're going through like all the bus and you got to punch them all in the face.
Or they punch you.
Yeah.
They just dap you up. That's what they do.
Implying like
it's like welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know? You're part of the club.
Gauntlet's back.
It connotes like torches, like there's fire involved, like fireworks maybe.
Charles Woodson, Raider or Packer for you? This was easy for me.
He's a Packer. He's a Packer.
He's a Raider.
No, he won Defensive Player of the Year as a Packer.
Raider.
He's a Raider.
He had the best years of his career as a Packer.
It's as close to 50-50 as it gets for a player of his stature.
I'm not certain it is.
He was a 99 on Madden for a long time as a Raider. But best years, Depoy, Packer.
His best year.
Best years, I would say.
But I picture him in a Raiders jersey.
Yeah,
I picture him in a black Raiders jersey
24.
with silver pants.
Yeah.
He made the All-Pro team twice with both teams. So he has almost evenly split his career.
But I think Mike's right.
The defensive MVP is a big one.
That sways it Mike's way, I think. He's right.
Yeah, but that's silver and black, though.
Yeah.
The green and gold.
Iconic.
What did he go in as?
I see.
You tell us.
Do you do that in the NFL?
I mean, he went in last year.
I think that's a baseball Hall of Fame thing. I don't think you actually go in
as a team.
You're not wearing a team's cap on your bust.
I was going to answer asshole for not showing up just because Dan Fouts said Rod Woodson.